Chapter 84 Need to take a strong dose of medicine _6. If she had a son, she would surely want to have Yang as her daughter-in-law. Yang said laughing, I'm not getting married. I want to stay with my mom for the rest of my life. Tsuehua said helplessly, this child always saying such foolish thing. Looking at the considerate Yang, Qingui was reminded of his own daughter. If his daughter was half as considerate as Yang, he wouldn't be alone today. At that thought, Qingui sighed softly. Qingui, what's wrong? Tsuehua looked over at Qingui. Qingui smiled and said, it's nothing, let's eat quickly. Yang's cooking is so good, it won't taste as good once it's cold. Seeing this, Tsuehua didn't ask any more questions. It wasn't appropriate for Yang, being the junior, to intervene in the elders' affairs. Without a doubt, the 3 dishes and 1 soup that night were completely devoured, leaving nothing behind. After dinner, Yang washed the dishes while Tsuehua went to give the child a bath. After Yang finished washing the dishes, she went to Qihua's room. Little Yun at 40 days old was very cute. Fat and white, he was splashing water in the basin. Seeing Yang, he gave her a sweet smile that melted her heart. Mom, let me help you. No need, no need. Tsuehua said, I can do it myself. You have also been busy all day, you should rest for a while. Tsuehua was still wearing the same patched clothes from before. She didn't wear the bra that was bought for her. Yang went on, Mom, why didn't you wear the clothes one bought for you? Don't you like them? Tsuehua laughed and said, your mom never goes out. It doesn't matter what I wear. Good clothes are meant to be worn out. Why bother wearing nice clothes at home? Mom, Yang immediately corrected Qihua's incorrect idea, then said, we don't have to pinch pennies like we did in the past. You should wear the clothes one bought for you, otherwise they would become waste when left unused. Just look at how classy Annie and I looks every day. And also, you should be wearing bras. If not, sagging breasts can not only affect appearance, but also lead to gynecological diseases. Tsuehua was surprised and asked, really? It's just a piece of cloth. Wearing it or not should be the same. Could it be so magical? Yang replied, Mom, do you remember how the old lady Wang who lived next door to us died? I remember. Tsuehua pointed to her chest and said, here it festered and then she died. Yang said, that disease is called breast cancer, which happens because women don't take good care of their breasts. Really? Tsuehua was somewhat disbelieving. Yang spoke seriously, Mom, when have one ever lied to you? It seems, never. Tsuehua hesitated, then said, Yang, but your mother feels uncomfortable wearing these clothes. It tightens around the chest. It's as if one can't breathe properly. Yang continued, Mom, everyone feels the same the first time they wear them. You'll get used to it. And you don't have to wear it all the time, you can take it off when you go to sleep. If you keep neglecting yourself like this, you'll definitely regret it someday. And when that time comes, there will be no medicine for regret. Hearing this, Tsuehua nodded her head, all right, I understand. Yang continued, he'll hold little Yun for you, you go and try on the bra and the new clothes we bought last time. Tsuehua hesitated for a moment, but then took the clothes to change. Because it was her first time wearing a bra, she looked a little awkward and covered her chest with her hands. Yang laughed and pulled Tsuehua to the mirror. Mom, look at yourself in the mirror. Don't you look so much better after wearing a bra than before? Your whole temperament has changed. Chapter 85 Wanting 100 sons is not a problem. Tsuehua was wearing a beige batwing shirt on the upper body, and a pair of black flared trousers on the lower body. The batwing shirt was fashionable this year. It had a retro pattern embroidered on the collar which echoed the pattern on the cuffs. It looked very nice. Qihua's skin was originally on the paler side, so wearing beige now made her skin look even more fair and well-balanced. Due to her wearing a bra, her bust was shaped perfectly, presenting a great confidence. Even her posture improved and she was standing much straighter. The transformation made her look like a different person. Where had that previous self-conscious and gloomy look gone? For a moment, Tsuehua almost couldn't believe that the person in the mirror was her. But the bra was too tight, uncomfortably so, and she couldn't resist the urge to loosen that bit of strap at the back. After all, a habit of 36 years couldn't be changed overnight. Yang held Qihua's hand. Mom, look at how beautiful you are now. If you don't wear a bra, there won't be such an effect, and if you don't believe me, go to your room and take off the bra to try it. Tsuehua didn't really believe it. So she turned around, went into her room and took off her bra. When she looked at herself in the mirror again, she was stunned. Apparently, the difference between wearing a bra and not wearing one is quite significant. The person in the mirror had a hunched back and lost all sense of confidence, appearing despondently and conspicuously older. Ni Yang came over with a smile, put her hand on Ni Quihua's shoulder and said, "Mom, as I said, there is really a big difference between wearing a bra and not wearing one." Ni Tsuehua straightened her clothes in the mirror. Then Ni Yang continued, "Mom, listen to me. Dress like this tomorrow and don't wear those old clothes in the future. It's not like we can't afford new clothes." "All right," Ni Tsuehua said, looking at Ni Yang and nodding, "He'll listen to you." Ni Yang laughed and said, "Remember to wear your bra too." I know. Ni Tsuehua nodded somewhat uncomfortably. After leaving Ni Quihua's bedroom, Ni Yang went into the kitchen. Because she had previously promised Li Gongqing that she would cook something nutritious and delicious for his elderly grandmother, she intended to brainstorm meal ideas in the kitchen. Li Gongqing mentioned that the grandmother's appetite was not very good. Generally, there are only two reasons why elderly people have a poor appetite. First, as age increases, the taste buds on the tongue gradually degrade, and consequently the tongue's reaction to food slowly weakens. Second, the decline in digestive function in the elderly can lead to stomach coldness, causing loss of appetite. Therefore, the remedy should be targeted. After pondering for a while, Ni Yang started to prepare the ingredients. She planned to make sour cabbage and pork stuffed pan-fried dumplings for the grandmother, and then boil some mint porridge. The pairing of sour cabbage and pork pan-fried dumplings with light mint porridge in the morning is simply delicious. Mint has the effects of dispelling wind heat, clearing the head and eyes, and inducing sweating and easing rash. In summer, elderly people can eat mint porridge to soothe their minds, disperse heat, stimulate appetite, aid digestion, and even break down greasiness. The dumplings can be wrapped now, and they can be pan-fried tomorrow morning. Porridge, however, needs to be cooked fresh tomorrow morning. Because leftover porridge is not tasty and less nutritious as well. Although she couldn't cook the porridge in advance, she could soak the rice ahead of time. Ni Yang skillfully washed the rice and left it to soak in a clay pot. After soaking the rice, Ni Yang went to the vegetable garden to pick some mint leaves. She had found this mint by chance by the river and took a few plants back to plant in the vegetable garden, which unexpectedly grew very well. After picking the mint leaves, Ni Yang started to knead the dough and roll out the dumpling skins. After putting child to bed, Ni Tsuehua also came into the kitchen. "Yang, what are you busy with? Let me help you." Ni Yang turned around with a smile. "Do you still remember how to make liaoyi dumplings?" "Yes." Ni Tsuehua nodded. Ni Yang then told Ni Tsuehua about what she had planned for Mrs. Mo. Hearing this, Ni Tsuehua laughed. "What's so difficult about that? Leave the job of dumpling and dumpling skin making to me and you go and prepare the dumpling stuffing." Apart from not cooking as deliciously as Ni Yang, Ni Tsuehua was a very competent mother. She had many skills such as embroidery, shoe mending, knitting. Moreover, Ni Tsuehua was extremely intelligent. She picked up many things quickly after being taught once. "All right." Ni Yang nodded, "Then I'll leave it to you." Chapter 86. Wanting 100 sons is not a problem. Ni Tsuehua rolled up her sleeves and protested, "What's so tiring about this? You're the one who really works hard." She has been seeing Ni Yang's daily toil. Unfortunately, she could not help Ni Yang much and could only handle the house chores so that Ni Yang wouldn't worry. At this moment, being able to help Ni Yang by making dumplings, Ni Tsuehua felt very happy. She finally felt like she could lend Ni Yang a hand. After leaving Ni Tsuehua with the rolling pin, Ni Yang went to retrieve pickled vegetables from the courtyard. The pickles were perfectly preserved, with elements like millet pepper, Szechuan pepper, raw ginger, and others. As the lid for the pickling jar was opened, a tempting aroma wafted out, making one's mouth water. As Ni Yang squatted by the pickling jar, two adorable bunnies scuttled up to sniff at her feet, looking absolutely precious. These two bunnies were part of the group she caught from the mountain last time. A month went by and the tiny bunnies grew into proper-sized rabbits. They were plump. In a few more months they could be used for spicy rabbit head or braised rabbit meat. Ni Yang grabbed a generous amount of pickles, then brought up a chunk of pork belly from the well. The pickles, which were already very fragrant, paired with the chunk of pork belly, made for an excellent combination. Ni Yang could not help but salivate as she was filling the dumplings. When Ni Yang finished filling the dumplings, Ni Tsuehua finished rolling out all the dumpling skins. Ni Quihua's method was accurate, each dumpling skin being uniform in size and perfectly thin. Ni Yang placed the prepared fillings on the stove, picked up dumpling skin and asked, "Mom, can you teach me too?" And Tsuehua replied with a smile, "Why bother? Let Mom handle little things like making dumplings. Go get some sleep, otherwise you'll be up early tomorrow." And Yang shook her head saying, "It's still early, one wouldn't be able to fall asleep even if one tried. Let's wait a while longer." And Quihua's speed and accuracy in dumplings making were remarkable. In merely a few seconds she had a dumpling ready and each was shaped like pretty Liao Yi, even more appealing than the one sold in the streets. And Yang felt hungry just watching and said, "Mom, make more dumplings. Let's have dumplings for lunch tomorrow." "Okay." And Tsuehua nodded and pressed, Yang, be honest with me. How did you get to know that Xiaoma today?" She had a hunch that there was more to it. And Yang answered nonchalantly, "It's just like I told you. One was retrieving a fishing trap from the river and he thought I was going to jump in the river." "Really?" And Tsuehua looked doubtfully into Yang's eyes. "Really?" And Yang nodded lightly. And Tsuehua continued, "Actually, Xiaoma seems to be a decent kid." "Your mom was thinking?" The rest of her words were left unsaid. Mo Qixin definitely captured Quihua's approval. He was eloquent, cultured, and from his attire, his family situation seemed well off. Most importantly, as a woman who had been through it all, she could tell that Mo Qixin harbored special feelings for Yang. Although it was faint, if you paid close attention you could notice. They say that a girl's fate is like a seed, when it lands on fertile ground, it grows with no worries and reaps a lifetime of bliss. But when it lands on barren land, no matter how much effort is put into it, it can't take root and survive. And Yang was 17 this year, and for this reason, Tsuehua didn't want Yang to miss out on Mo Qixin. As a mother, she didn't just want her daughter to find love, but also material stability. This is reality. A union without material assurance is fragile. Because love will one day lose to the demands of daily life. "Mom, why are you thinking about such things? He and one are from different worlds. Plus, one have to focus on my studies to get into university. From now on, I don't want you thinking about these things." And Yang quickly cut off Quihua's words. Maybe the incident from her past life left a deep impact on Yang, who remained uninterested in the idea of marrying a man so far. The phrase "rely on a man" was not in her dictionary. Whether it was her previous life or the current one, she only depended on herself. In this world, the only person you can rely on is yourself. And Tsuehua smiled helplessly, Okay, I won't mention it. As long as you know what you're doing. Even if you want to go to university, you still have to get married one day, right? You can't possibly stay single forever." Since Yang wasn't agreeable, Tsuehua wouldn't force her to comply. After all, a coerced melon is never sweet. "I just don't want to get married. One want to be with you forever." And Yang held Quihua's neck gently and spoke her mind. Chapter 87 Wanting 100 sons is not a problem, silly child, what are you thinking? And Tsuehua continued, "As women, it's only natural for us to marry." And Yang raised an eyebrow slightly, "But why must a girl get married? Mom, don't you see we are doing just fine without men now? Not only have we managed to survive, but we're also living better than before. This just shows that men aren't necessary at all." And Tsuehua was momentarily speechless. Because what Yang said did make sense. After pondering for a moment, Tsuehua answered, "But if you don't get married and have children, who will take care of you when you're old?" And Tsuehua, having not received an education, was narrow-minded and held a small worldview. The confining notion that a woman's purpose was to bear children was deeply ingrained in her. Otherwise, she wouldn't have previously felt guilty for being unable to produce a son. Such misconceptions needed to be rectified. And Yang looked up at Tsuehua and said seriously, "Mom, girls are not tools for carrying on the family line. Marriage and having children are not a necessity for every woman. The chairman has said that men and women are now equal. As women of the new era, we must be independent and self-reliant, we can't rely on men to survive. Take yourself for example. If you hadn't chosen to divorce back then, you surely know what your life would be like now. Only when we become stronger ourselves, do we become truly strong. Hence, what's most important for us now is to work hard to make money, then go to high school, university, and broaden our horizons. We need to have the ability to live a good life ourselves and also to help others. When we become millionaires one day, you'll realize that not only can you have a son, but even if you want 10 or 100 sons, it won't be a problem. And one promise, they will all be filial. Times have changed and we women can hold up our share of the sky just as well." And Yang's words were heartfelt, leaving Ni Tsuehua silent for a long time. She wanted to say something in rebuttal, but she realized she couldn't find any words to counter. Indeed, her thinking was too narrow. Ni Tsuehua nodded. Yang, you're right. From now on we will not rely on anyone. Seeing her mother understand this reasoning, Ni Yang felt less worried. Her biggest fear was that Ni Tsuehua would remain in a dead end. Ni Yang picked up a dumpling skin and said, Mom, you make such beautiful dumplings, please teach me. She genuinely wanted to learn. Seeing Ni Yang's thirst for knowledge, Ni Tsuehua didn't refuse again, but taught her step by step. Ni Yang, being a clever girl blessed with the advantages of her rebirth, was a quick learner and mastered the skill in no time. The dumplings she made were nearly as good as Ni Quihua's. In less than 15 minutes, the mother and daughter had made 100 dumplings. The next day, Ni Yang got up early. First, she put the rice and mint leaves that had been soaked the night before into a casserole, simmering them over a low heat. Then she began to fry the dumplings. She added a layer of vegetable oil to the pan. Once the oil was hot, she added the dumplings. After a sizzling sound, the small kitchen was filled with an enticing aroma. The dumplings were fried to a golden brown on both sides, evenly colored and resembled gold ingots. They looked impressive. Ni Yang couldn't resist trying one. The dumpling had a crispy outside and a tender filling. When she bit into it, the savory taste of pickled vegetables and pork filled her mouth. A faint spicy and sour taste followed. The taste was rich without being oily. It tantalized her taste buds. After eating 4 dumplings in a row, Ni Yang put some of the pan-fried dumplings into a thermos, leaving some for Ni Tsuehua and Ni Chenghua's breakfast. The thermos was in 3 layers. The first layer contained mint porridge, the second layer held the pan-fried dumplings, and the third layer was filled with stir-fried lettuce and shredded pork that Ni Yang had cooked. The daily use of Materia Medica once stated, lettuce benefits the 5 internal organs, nourishes the muscles and bones, relieves summer heat, opens the meridians, refreshes the breath, and brightens the eyes. Since the vision of the elderly tends to deteriorate, eating lettuce can maintain good eyesight. Furthermore, when Ni Yang stir-fried the lettuce, she controlled the heat well, ensuring that the dish was crunchy and tasty as well as fragrant. The combination of lettuce, mint porridge, and dumplings made a very good meal. And since dumplings are known for stimulating the appetite, the old lady would surely enjoy the meal thoroughly. After packing everything into the thermos, Ni Yang saw the sour plum soup on one side. She fetched a glass, filling it up with the soup. Chapter 88 Wanting 100 sons is not a problem _4. Li Gongqing gave her 100 yuan, and she always wanted to make the old lady feel happy while eating. She wanted to make sure that the 100 yuan was well spent. After preparing the old lattice food, Ni Yang started to prepare the items for her stall today. After hurriedly finishing a bowl of leftover mint gruel, Ni Yang pushed her bike out. At this moment, it was just beginning to lighten in the east, but people were already hard at work in the fields. Everyone was trying to get as much work done as possible before the sun came up. Once the sun was up, it would be too warm to work as much. By the time Ni Yang arrived at her stall, Li Gongqing was, as always, already waiting for her. Xiaoni, let me help you. He came over to help Ni Yang unload the bike. Thank you. Ni Yang politely thanked him. Ni Yang's bike had 2 large iron buckets of pickled cabbage fish soup strapped to the back. The buckets didn't look big, but they were very heavy and Li Gongqing could hardly lift one even with both hands. I'll do it. Ni Yang smiled slightly and took the bucket from him. Therefore, when he saw her effortlessly carrying 2 buckets of pickled cabbage fish soup, Li Gongqing was stunned. What had this girl been eating to grow up so strong? Her strength was incredible. For the first time, Li Gongqing felt inferior to a girl. Not only did she earn more money than him, but now she was also stronger than him. But Ni Yang was a bit odd. Despite poor sales yesterday morning, she had prepared a lot of food for today. Was she planning to sell all the way until tomorrow morning? Was she a bit naive? In fact, Ni Yang was not naive at all. Because she had a sense that her business today would be better than the day before. Of course, the strategic thinking behind this was beyond Li Gongqing's comprehension. After all, he was not a businessman. With this in mind, Li Gongqing approached Ni Yang ready to speak when she beat him to it, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Mr. Li, shall we stick to the usual this morning? Yes. Li Gongqing nodded. All right, it will be a moment then. She seemed to remember something and handed him a bag with a thermos in it. This is the breakfast we agreed on for the old lady. I just made something simple, I don't know if she would like it. Thank you. With your culinary skills, I'm sure the old lady will love it. Li Gongqing happily took the food from her. Soon, a bowl of fragrant pickled fish was placed in front of Li Gongqing. Meanwhile there was also a purple-red drink. "What is this?" Li Gongqing asked, pointing to the cup of sour plum soup. And Yang explained with a smile, "This is sour plum soup, I made it myself. The first cup is free, would you like to give it a try?" "Sure." Li Gongqing grabbed it and took a sip, then declared in shock, "Xiaoni, this sour plum soup is so delicious. How much is it per cup?" 1 cent per cup, and Yang answered. 1 cent per cup? Such a delicious drink was so cheap? Li Gongqing could hardly believe his ears. He knew that cans of soda sold for 1.5 yuan each. This sour plum soup tasted infinitely better than store-bought sodas. One cent? Li Gongqing asked with uncertainty. And Yang nodded, "Yes, 1 cent." And Yang was a businesswoman and certainly wouldn't run a business at a loss. Although 1 cent for a cup of sour plum soup might seem cheap, she was banking on the volume of sales and it could potentially bring in more customers. If she could sell 500 cups of sour plum soup in a morning, that would be 50 yuan. Deducting the cost, she would at least earn 45 yuan. The most important thing is, compared to pickled vegetable noodles, sour plum soup is much easier to make. The cups used to serve the sour plum soup were much smaller than the bowls, and 500 cups were not that much. Li Gongqing went on to say, "Then I'd like another cup." "Sure." And Yang poured another cup of sour plum soup and handed it to Li Gongqing. Soon after, more and more diners arrived at the previously desolate stall. In no time at all the tables were full. As usual, Yang offered each person a cup of sour plum soup. Unsurprisingly, everyone who tasted it gave positive feedback and all of them ordered a cup. You could buy 10 cups of sour plum soup for the price of 1 can of soda, and the sour plum soup tasted better. Any discerning person would not hesitate to spend that 1 cent. Chapter 89 Wanting 100 sons is not a problems. Translator 549690339 Friolan. Giaong Lin AHD Fmauer and Frotnefo and Snawaiselta. Oh, the flavor here is really authentic. Although it's 5 cents cheaper per bowl over there, one always feel like something's missing. Antikas guzd nyan or fat, sao. Sri Didaintaldife have NB mita 8 back ifo the Nelly en Naga? Boss, I want a bowl of pickled vegetable noodles. I want a bowl too. Li Gongqing sat at his table, watching Yang ladling noodles unhurriedly at her stall, with utter astonishment in his eyes. No wonder she prepared so many ingredients this morning. She must have foreseen this scene. In Yasin Kailpwas. Dia but NITNC. Rodosehtir Aerolino a few Kormsuts Tanus Hasangshjasi CLEPA Sun Chuanxiang initially thought that her place would be exceptionally busy this morning, so she specially prepared more than 2,000 bowls of soup noodles and even summoned her sister-in-law to come and help. But she didn't anticipate this situation. Ray Sisabn SWA Goin Iwalt Suj Stray Yaren. Ganmi, could it be that wretched Yang girl was up to some mischief again? What a shameless wench she was. Sun Anuixing Tib her IPL Dan Dias to Ray Siln, Staru at her say, Dxia, NHEPEC and Ion Nisk he. I'm going over there for AB, Tijao Xiangji nodded, "Sure sis, go ahead." Sun Chuanxiang left her stall and walked over to Yang's. STC. Pixie saw Dian Alon Weequiet in Sien. Ji upon seeing this scene, Sun Chengxiang's face turned green with anger. Indeed. Hat Resetwi Glur and Eigen AHD stolen HRE Isianusp, what a faceless brat. Sun Chuanxiang really felt like throwing herself at her and choking Yang to death. This Nui IFT. SRS got her heg to adren throw it no ernspo, then Ray Asen was received to draw out FO, Holix nad one he's was sniltki I her sksto. Did Yang think she was that easy to push around? No, she couldn't stand by and watch Yang take away all her customers. HIW a Ligmazen Cafe, Sun Jiangsan Iudika into 8 DML'd of the Enel, hits line Esms Priat GN. Well you all Pilabro not Dao in K Tubertes Anrioth Pkils Sif Onaldo offs for air. T-Not Yanless ITIFE Tnesk ERKPEPR blow. Ut voy salo daniv to wait in any li DNA the asset is 10 seem to ret at HR. Upon hearing this, a short-haired woman immediately asked, "Really?" Sun Chuanxiang nodded hurriedly. "What are you asking, big sis, do you think I would lie? It's right over there, look. HD sard here to onmo dotso no t. Piasit udulk adderst 8 iadriakn dipon yut by Sun and Uxgen. See DNA after Nryagif Udo the attack null, o headski with DN iastatenp, ho you ignadalk abbot that la? Sep, yes. Sun Chuanxiang nodded anxiously, that's the one. The short-haired woman continued, I went there yesterday morning, the flavor wasn't nearly as good as this place. Although it's a bit cheaper, the fishy smell is rather strong. Suddenly, as if realizing something, the woman said with a knowing look, "Oh, I see. You must be the boss of that stall, right? Unis H. Jixnon didn't sexpit HT Sertrio onum to say ts. Hi is Baylor. Team OT cared when Narito Suramet cops. I went there yesterday morning too. The taste is indeed not as good, so I came back here this morning. Yeah, me too. Etiovolf Rias I way. Tebrit Sun Xianxiang's face turned darker and darker, and with a bowed head, she ran away amidst the discussions. Ekiela Laukretzfen. Idet Wen Ji. Od she wondered whether all these people could have been hired by N.I. Yang. How could N.I. Yang's noodles taste that good? As Daed Tas Temot. Oh, after returning to her own stall, Sun Chuanxiang handed Zhao Xiangji 30 cents and said, "Xiangji, take this money and buy a bowl of pickled fish noodles from the place across the street." She was eager to taste it, just to see if that bitch's noodles are indeed as delicious as everyone said they were. Zhao Nizixh Clio at SNU NHK and I are pursues ADN DS, Etrislen IWS not we also sli dikpulse FN? Utso YHW etsa EMNI nibuti Israel? Sun Chuanxiang looking a bit impatient said, "Just do what one asked." Without daring to say anything more, Zhao Xiangji took the money and headed off. Well, RNI Ray A. TRS DHA Cuters SNU Nakangxia Untadso Tim. Isp. Is it just because she's got money? Esta os actor aptuat? Does having money mean she can order me about like I'm some beast of burden? After waiting in line for a long time, Zhao Xiangji finally got a bowl of pickled fish noodles. Wano yin hse del the oblu of unsel and adden did she adnerten y sun nug syaxen was igenwil to septen 37 to eve ray bergina ola ba. CK they were both supposedly pickled fish noodles, but the difference was like night and day. The pickled fish noodles from that place had a great color, broth, and presentation. Tudges the lemels inlo sa ognue rof pelio otud. Eller no wonder no one patronizes Sun Chengxiang's noodle stall. After Sun Chuanxiang tasted some of the noodles that Zhao Xiangji had brought back, as soon as they entered her mouth, she frowned. Hse cloud arielk etsatat, eepmrot ot out weeks, oag seeth otselin hadn tiag env breet rich, sour and refreshing. It was so delicious that after eating a bowl, you couldn't help but want a second. Sun eneng sugya uj tua ipes of pilek talvajib morph 8 mtatab of 8 wab, aliqulik arlignis tot this pildek eltagiv was tun ilek the eno is lasui hugopter fmo hdm. Arkad havenji sitted pidkal hfis and solo orfa igen time, she knew ta 8 sesnus fo the eyes saw and I the ip dolvi. Lgap the reason why N.I. Yang's pickled vegetable noodles tasted so good was largely because of the pickled vegetable. This meant that if she could find out where this pickled vegetable was bought from, she could make noodles that taste just as good. Tnijink fo sure, tiagm zalims yurdro tusn kenjiksons a. CFE being a local of Beijing, if Sun Chuanxiang wanted to find where this kind of pickled vegetable was sold, it would be extremely easy. Just wait and see. As Dal would deftienly be Bella to inft HT sme epklikt vgil. Teeb when Li Gongqing arrived at the Mo family with the meal prepared by N.I. Yang, there was a guest at the house. It saw an Yug Wonam who saw Katie Asir. Titv if he hadn't seen N.I. Yang, he would have certainly thought her a beauty. But after meeting N.I. Yang, he felt that no one else had seen before could even compare. Ino Klodun v Yas. Isht after N.I. Yang there were no more beauties. The young woman was sitting on the couch, speaking with Madame Mo. It was Railk tot amdmaom like dare a, lot her seya lulf fo isime nirad thray aranan. Kusf, Madam, Li Gongqing approached. Xiaoli is here. Madame Mo looked up and smiled. Li Gianjian CG tup ada trelm tinokri no the osef tle DNA asti. Demame, size hdm li preepter yb and I angie from the Inudits, halas uxadir ybt armies o. M palestis ti DNA phi ti tias roi likni, retsem om tednemnio that a yulakt sack her to coco rofu ervi day. Madame Mo nodded, looking a bit disappointed. Didn't he buy any noodles to bring back this morning? Of course he had bought noodles, but Master Mo had commandeered them halfway. Fo cows. Are these Erwenots jin totli sigong ijuak se ot Madame Mo amlids and ya, Madam eating noodles in the morning might not be easy to digest. Why don't you try these dishes first and see if they suit your taste? All right, Madame Mo nodded, I understand you can go on with your work. Ilgenic nibad with lisk to damma monet ruint DNA lo. Ft Madame Mo turned to the young woman beside her and said with a smile, Xianxia, let me tell you, this Xiaoni is quite skilled in cooking. You haven't had breakfast yet, have you? Let's eat together and see what delicacies are in this thermal container. Chapter 90 Is that person an Yang? _1 I Xiaoni? And she's good at cooking? Could it be an Yang? Li Xianxian squinted subtly. The good cooking skills and the surname Ni made Li Xianxian unconsciously think of Ni Yang. Thinking of Ni Yang's beautiful face, Li Xianxian felt an unprecedented sense of crisis. But didn't Li Shu say that Ni Yang had married a bachelor? Could it be that Mu Yan is not Ni Yang at all? Did she mistake everything from the beginning? Li Xianxian thought until she was lost in thought. Xianxian, what are you thinking? Old Madame Emo waved an arm before Ni Yang. Oh? No. Li Xianxian quickly snapped back, laughing. Grandma, is this Xiaoni's cooking really that delicious? Yes, especially that bowl of noodles, it's simply divine. Old Madame Emo continued, Hey, let's stop chatting, Xianxian, let's eat. Suppressing her worries, Li Xianxian responded, Okay, Grandma. Immediately, a servant brought 2 new sets of bowls and chopsticks over. Li Xianxian opened the thermos skillfully, laying out the food one by one, and generously served old Madame Emo a bowl of rice porridge, praising, It smells so good, Grandma, these must be really delicious. The pan-fried dumplings were fried to a golden brown on both sides, looking like adorable golden ingots. The mint porridge was crystal clear, pretty as agate and jade. The shredded pork with lettuce was fresh and crispy, paired with 2 red bell peppers. These dishes were like beautifully crafted pieces of art. Just the sight of these dishes was a feast for the eyes. Most importantly, they emitted a captivating aroma, making one drool. Not like other dishes that boast only appearance but lack flavor. This is what we call a flavor that combines the essence of taste and appearance. Gazing at these dishes, Li Xianxian was contemplative. Ni Yang's specialty was Cantonese cuisine, she never cooked simple home dishes, and she absolutely couldn't make dumplings. Let alone such beautiful yaoyi dumplings. So, this couldn't have been made by Ni Yang? Yes, there's no way it's Ni Yang. Ni Yang had been married off to that old bachelor a long time ago. She might even be suffering now. At this thought, Li Xianxian felt considerably relieved. As old Madame Emo eyed the dishes, she couldn't help but swallow, picked up a pair of chopsticks and said, Xianxian, let's eat quickly before it gets cold. Li Xianxian nodded, picked up a pair of chopsticks obediently, and only after old Madame Emo had taken the first bite, did she mechanically follow suit by taking a bite of the pan-fried dumpling. The frying of the dumpling was well controlled, crispy on the outside while soft on the inside. After one bite, a splash of sour and spicy soup exploded from within, filling her mouth with a delicious tart, spicy and savory combination. The lettuce was crispy and refreshing, delicate and tasty, pairing very nicely with the dumpling and creating 2 different types of sensory experiences. It was so delicious that she couldn't stop eating. After finishing the dumplings and lettuce, she had a mouthful of refreshing mint porridge just in time to cut the grease. It felt like an upgrade in her life quality. Old Madame Emo had initially thought the pickled fish noodles were the most delicious food in the world, but now it seemed her previous experiences were just too limited. Old Madame Emo ate with joy. Good. Li Xianxian was also surprised, she had never eaten anything so delicious before. But in order to maintain her figure and image, Li Xianxian put down her chopsticks after having only a couple of dumplings. Old Madame Emo was surprised. Xianxian, are you done eating? Li Xianxian picked up a napkin and elegantly wiped the corner of her mouth like a well-bred girl, speaking softly, Grandma, I'm already full, you can have the rest. You only ate this much? Old Madame Emo frowned slightly, like feeding a cat. Li Xianxian smiled shyly, I've had a small appetite since I was little. In order to maintain her figure, Li Xianxian dared not eat too much. Though she has managed to maintain her weight, what troubled Li Xianxian was that a certain part of her body also scaled down with it. Therefore, to ensure she looks good in clothes, she stuffed a lot in her chest area. So, Li Xianxian still had an amazing figure. Old Madame Emo laughed, you can't always eat so little, it's not good for your health. You have to eat more in the future. You're so thin that I believe Baichuan could lift you with just one hand. Mentioning Mo Baichuan, Li Xianxian's face turned slightly red. Grandma, don't tease me anymore. Old Madame Mo smiled, picked another dumpling. Alright, I'll stop. Can't I just eat my dumpling? Chapter 91 Is that person an Yang? _2. Li Xianxian bashfully lowered her head, but a glint of triumphant satisfaction shone in her eyes. Since Grandma Mo had willingly brought up Mo Baichuan in front of her, it meant there was a 2% chance for their entanglement. Because the dishes Yang prepared were so delicious, Grandma Mo ate as many as a dozen pan-fried dumplings, drinking a large bowl of porridge, only then she put her chopsticks down. With a few dumplings left, along with half a bowl of porridge and half a plate of pork stir-fried lettuce, Grandma Emo specifically ordered someone to keep them for lunch. Hearing this, Xianxia lifted her gaze and said, "Grandma, you're older now and your digestive system isn't in the best condition. It might be better to throw away the leftovers." However, Grandma Emo casually retorted, "It's fine. I've eaten book covers and roots when I was young. What's a little leftover food?" The old generation is used to being thrifty and were somewhat displeased upon hearing Li Xianxian's suggestion. Just by hearing what she said, it was clear she was not a person accustomed to daily life. To this day, many families are still so impoverished that they can't afford a meal. To Grandma Emo, Li Xianxian insisted on throwing away the perfectly fine leftovers. As soon as those words were spoken, Li Xianxian realized her mistake and hurriedly tried to correct it. "Grandma, I didn't mean it that way. I just worried that the leftovers might upset your stomach." Grandma Emo didn't think much of it. "Never mind that, Grandma knows you meant well." Hearing this, Li Xianxian sighed in relief and changed the subject. "By the way, Grandma, the weather is quite nice this morning. Shall I accompany you to the garden?" Grandma Emo nodded and laughed. "Sounds good." Li Xianxian immediately got up from the sofa and supported Grandma Mo's arm, ingratiating herself. "Let me assist you, Grandma." The two had just stepped out of the room. A tall and handsome figure approached. His stunning yet hidden face under the light was incredibly eye-catching. Dressed in a simple white shirt, form-fitting dress pants, black leather shoes, a black suit jacket hanging on his arm and one hand in the pocket, he walked against the light. The sun gradually highlighted his exquisitely angular features, breathtakingly radiant. This was the worthless sixth son of the Emo family, Emo Chishan? Such a shame. A man with such handsome looks, only to be wasted in the body of a useless person. Li Xianxian squinted her eyes, a hint of disdain briefly flashed in her eyes, but she politely said in front of Grandma Emo, "Uncle Six." Emo Chishan nodded and walked over. Without a word, he gave Grandma Emo a big hug. "Mom, I've missed you so much after such a long time." Grandma Emo was stunned at first, then pushed Emo Chishan away, irritated. "Get away. Who is your mother? You're hardly home all year round. Does this ungrateful son of mine even have me in his eyes?" No matter the family, mothers always spoil their youngest children. Emo Chishan had grown up spoiled and pampered. Although Grandma Emo disliked her youngest son on the surface, she still loved him very much deep inside. Although he could be considered useless, he's considerate and kind-hearted, always displaying filial piety. Moreover, money was not an object in the Emo family. Let alone supporting one Emo Chishan, they could easily support tens or even hundreds of him. So, whether Emo Chishan was competent or not was not much of a concern to Grandma Emo. "Mom, you fill my eyes," said Emo Chishan with a playful smile. "Isn't there a lyric that goes, 'Mom is the best in the world, children with mothers are precious gems'? Am I not the gem in your hands?" Emo Chishan's few words brought laughter to Grandma. "Oh, you're a grown man, still claiming to be a gem? Don't you feel embarrassed?" Emo Chishan held Grandma Mo's arm. "A child with a mother will always be a gem." Grandma Mo's laugh was even more hearty. As Li Xianxian watched from the side, contempt filled her eyes. This youngest son of the Emo family was truly a worthless piece of trash. Beyond making the elderly happy, he was good for nothing. She really wondered how the Emo family ended up having such a good-for-nothing. Emo Chishan's gaze casually swept over Li Xianxian. Strangely, Li Xianxian shuddered inadvertently. But when Li Xianxian looked up again, Emo Chishan had already resumed his wastrel demeanor. Did she see things wrong? Right, she must be seeing things wrong. How could a good-for-nothing have that kind of look? Chapter 92. Is that person N.I. Yang? _3. Madame Emo continued, "Emo, are you out of money again?" Because Emo Chishan was nothing more than a wastrel, Madame Emo was always worried about him running out of money. Emo Chishan said, "No, I have money, you don't need to worry." Madame Emo retorted, "There's no one else here, no need for embarrassment. Take this card. If you're out of money, I'll give you more." Helpless, Emo Chishan said, "Mom, I really do have money. If he doesn't even have a decent job, how could he have money?" Knowing that he wanted to save face, Madame Emo immediately put on a stern face and said, "If I ask you to take it, take it. If you don't take it, don't call me Mom again. I don't want a son like you." Seeing Madame Emo act like this, Emo Chishan could only accept, because he knew that if he didn't, the old woman would surely worry about him not having enough to eat or being warm enough out in the world. At this, the contempt in Li Xianxian's eyes deepened. This Mo6 not only was a mama's boy but he relied on his parents for living expenses too. It was really sickening. Madame Mo continued, by the way Xianxia and I are going for a walk in the garden. Do you want to join us? Qixin said, you two go ahead, I'm going upstairs for a nap. Madame Mo said, if you don't want to come that's fine. Xianxia, let's go. Okay grandma. Understandingly, Xianxia took Madame Mo's arm, nodded at Qixin and then walked out with Madame Mo. The garden was in full blossom. The breeze was carrying the light scent of flowers, refreshing the mind. Xianxia was good at making people happy with her words. In just a few minutes she had managed to cheer up Madame Mo. Girls are always better, they know how to make people happy. Unlike that Baichuan always has a poker face. He finally got time off but still doesn't know to spend more time with me, his old mother. As she was hoping to set Baichuan and Xianxia up, Madame Mo would often mention Baichuan intentionally or unintentionally. Xianxia said gently, Grandma, here I am with you. Besides, Mo is not young anymore. In a few years when he gets married, there will naturally be a daughter-in-law to take care of you, and even give you a few great-grandchildren. By then you will be a great-grandmother. Upon hearing this, Madame Mo's smile became even broader. No idea when that kid is going to settle down. Xianxia's eyes flickered. Didn't you arrange a meeting for Mr. Mo and Miss Zhou a few days ago? I heard that Miss Zhou is not only very beautiful but also an overseas study alumni. These two are simply made for each other, a perfect match of looks and talent. Mentioning this, Madame Mo became angry. That dim-witted boy didn't even meet up with Miss Zhou. Left with no explanation for the matchmaker. They had clearly arranged to meet at the cafe. When that boy comes back, he'll have to answer to me. Hearing this, Xianxia pretended to be surprised. Oh? Mr. Mo didn't meet Miss Zhou? Madame Mo nodded. I wonder if he has someone else in his heart. Even if he does, he can't stand up Miss Zhou like that. Upon hearing this, a flash of excitement quickly passed through Xianxia's eyes. She knew that Baichuan had her in his heart. It was just that he was too shy to admit due to his macho pride. Otherwise he wouldn't have stood Zhou Yalan up for her sake. Everything Baichuan did must be for her. Thinking about this, Xianxia's heart was as sweet as if it had been filled with honey. Xianxia masked her emotions and continued, I don't think there are any women in Mr. Mo's heart. Although there are female comrade-in-arms in the base, Mr. Mo never approaches them. At the base, the only one who could approach Baichuan was her and nobody else. Thinking about this, Xianxia's heart fluttered again. On hearing this, Madame Mo turned to Xianxia puzzled. That's strange, if there's no one in Baichuan's heart, why didn't he meet Miss Zhou? Xianxia laughed, it might be for some other reason. After all, I've never seen Mr. Mo interact with other women. The last words were quite enlightening. She hasn't seen other women? But there is Xianxia. Upon hearing this, Madame Mo reacted quickly. Her eyes filled with realization as she looked at Xianxia. Chapter 93 Is that person Yang? _4. That's right. The person who has always been closely following Baichuan is Xianxia. Could this kid have fallen for Xianxia? Noticed the gaze of Granny Mo. Xianxia's face blushed a bit and she shyly said, Granny, why are you looking at me like this? Do I have something dirty on my face? As she spoke, Xianxia touched her own cheek, feeling puzzled. Granny Mo laughed benignly, No, our Xianxia is beautiful. Oh Granny, you're making me shy. Xianxia's voice softened a few degrees. Alright, I'll stop speaking. Granny Mo looked at Xianxia, who was as beautiful as a fresh flower, and suddenly came up with a plan. After a moment, Granny Mo continued, Right Xianxia, how is the issue with the divine doctor from Jiangnan progressing? Hudi was banking on this divine doctor to save her life. Considering this, Granny Mo's smile faded slightly. Xianxia then said, Granny, don't worry, I have already contacted the divine doctor. He said that he might not have time to come over for a while, and we might have to wait a bit more. Wait a bit more. But she feared that Hudi couldn't wait much longer. Xianxia seemed to perceive Granny Mo's underlying concern. Granny, don't worry, the divine doctor has promised to send us some life-saving elixirs first. Currently he has a very serious patient under his care. Once that patient is healed, he will immediately come here. Hearing this, Granny Mo was considerably relieved. Xianxia, is it really true that the divine doctor will send the medicine over? Xianxia smiled. Granny, what are you saying? Could I lie to you? That's good. Granny Mo took Xianxia's hand, exclaiming, Xianxia, I don't know how I can ever repay you. The divine doctor from Jiangnan is known for his eccentric temperament. Moreover, he refuses to treat people surnamed Mo or Yang. If it weren't for Xianxia, they would be helpless. Granny Mo was so moved that her eyes reddened. Granny, Xianxia said earnestly, there's no need for you to stand on ceremony with me. Granny Mo nodded. Just at this moment, an eye-catching figure walked through the flower garden. With every step, it was as though he was walking right into Xianxia's heart. Xianxia gazed at the figure, her eyes filled with infatuation, almost forgetting to breathe. Seeing Xianxia like this, Granny Mo's smile deepened. Her grandson was truly magnificent. So handsome. Look at how smitten the young lady is. Chuan is back. Granny Mo went forward to greet him with a beaming smile. Granny. Mo Baichuan reached out to steady Granny Mo. At this time, Xianxia also reacted, quickly reaching out to support Granny Mo's other arm, saying softly, Granny, let us accompany you for a walk. There's no denying that the way she conversed was clever and she had high emotional intelligence. Granny Mo smiled widely, very well. With one on each side to support Granny Mo, Xianxia occasionally said something to make Granny Mo laugh heartily. The atmosphere was indeed harmonious. After a while, Mo Baichuan suddenly stopped and said to Granny Mo, Granny, I have to leave for some work, I won't be able to accompany you. Stay a bit longer, it's not often that you accompany me for a walk. Granny Mo looked up at Mo Baichuan. Xianxia also looked expectantly at Mo Baichuan. However, Mo Baichuan didn't even spare her a glance. He bent down and said, Granny, I promise I will spend more time with you when I get a chance. He then affectionately touched his left cheek to Granny Mo's. Granny Mo looked delighted. Get going, you naughty boy. I'm off then. Mo Baichuan turned and walked off in another direction. Xianxia stared dumbly at his retreating figure. Her eyes were clouded with adoration and she couldn't snap out of it for quite a while. Granny Mo teased her with a smile. Xianxia, what do you think about Chuan, that naughty boy? Xianxia quickly recovered, nodded and said, He's very good. The smile on Granny Mo's face grew wider as she added, That boy has always been like that? He has a troublesome temper, even in front of the people he likes, he never changes. You must not mind. Mo Baichuan's personality was notoriously troublesome. That was the reason he has been unable to find a partner till now. Granny Mo didn't want his bad temperament to scare Xianxia away. Chapter 94 Is that person an Yang? _5. It's not easy to find someone you like. Xianxia shyly shook her head, pretending she didn't understand. I don't know what you're talking about, Grandma, let's go look around up ahead. From an angle where old lady Mo couldn't see, a triumphant smile spread across Xianxia's face. Xianxia did a good job pretending, so old lady Mo naturally didn't notice anything unusual. Over at the Yurdist Road morning market, Yang had prepared more than 600 bowls of noodles today and sold them all before noon. There were still many customers who didn't get a chance to have noodles. Little boss, you only prepare so few noodles every morning. Are you deliberately tempting our appetites? Joked a customer who stood in line for a long time without getting his noodles. Exactly, little boss, are you doing it on purpose? A lot of customers joined in the buzz. Mu Qingli distributed small cards to everyone and apologized. I'm really sorry, there are limited bowls of soup noodles every morning, and I can't keep up by myself. You can come over earlier tomorrow with this small card, you can get a 5-cent discount per bowl. This earned considerable approval from the crowd. 5 cents. That could buy one old-fashioned popsicle. The little boss indeed knew how to do business. Who else would be willing to give up this 5 cents? Yang distributed all more than 100 cards until none left. After giving out all the cards, Yang started to clean up the stall and prepared to go home. Today was Saturday, so as Yang just walked over to the shop, she saw Lu Wei sitting on a bench in front of the door reading. Upon hearing footsteps, Li Wei immediately looked up. As expected, it was Yang. Yang, have you started packing up? Li Wei initiated the conversation. Yeah. Mu Qingli nodded. Li Wei continued, Yang, I have a question to ask you. Yang swiftly arranged the table and chairs. What's the matter? Li Wei took out an English test paper next to him. This problem was one of the most prone to errors in high school English. Last time, Yang easily corrected the difference between adming and admirable, making Li Wei disappointed. He was a high school student, and Yang was merely a junior high student. How could Yang's English be this good? To test whether Yang just had a lucky guess last time, Li Wei intentionally found the hardest question on the English test paper. He didn't believe that Yang could answer this time. After seeing the question, Anai Yang responded, she hid herself after the tree is clearly a defective sentence. The correct answer should be she hid herself behind the tree. Upon hearing this, Li Wei was astounded. His last dignity was gone. Anai Yang really did know. She truly knew English. After being stunned for a moment, Li Wei continued, can you explain why we use it that way? Anai Yang answered, because after is often used to express something after a certain action, so some grammar books call it a dynamic preposition, whereas behind is often used after static things. Right. That was also how his teacher explained it. Li Wei didn't know how to express his feelings at the moment. Anai Yang, thank you. It took him a while just to squeeze that out. Anai Yang smiled faintly, you're welcome. Then Li Wei continued, Anai Yang, last time you said you still wanted to go to school, right? Yeah. Anai Yang nodded. Li Wei added, actually, I feel that you don't need to go to school anymore. You're already excellent enough and you're doing pretty well in business. For us girls, there's no use in reading so many books as long as you marry into a good family. Out of personal motives, Li Wei didn't want Anai Yang to attend school, because Anai Yang was really too excellent. If she attended school, she would probably get into a prestigious university. What kind of good guys wouldn't she be able to find in the university? By that time he would really not be good enough for her. It would be better to just stay as it is. Anai feels like an individual. He was a high school student with a promising future. When Anai Yang stood next to him, Anai Yang was indeed in a superior position. Hearing this, Anai Yang laughed. Li Wei, what you said doesn't sound like something an intellectual would say. What does it mean to just marry into a good family? Shouldn't us girls be mere cuscuta flowers? What was a cuscuta flower? A cuscuta flower was a kind of flower that could only survive by clinging to other plants. Chapter 95 Is that person Anai Yang? _6. Having his feelings laid bare by Anai Yang, Li Wei's face flushed crimson, worried that he was not good enough for Anai Yang, yet too embarrassed to voice these concerns directly. No, that's not what I meant. Right at that moment, Chen Jinfeng walked out of the store. She looked up to see Li Wei, his face beet red, and then her gaze shifted to Anai Yang, who was as enchanting as a sprite. Which young boy isn't passionate or young girl not longing for love? Seeing this scene and recalling Li Dongliang's words, a look of displeasure crossed Chen Jinfeng's face. That Anai Yang. Not content with running her business, she even dared to flirt with her own son. So young yet so calculating. Chen Jinfeng glanced at Li Wei and said sweetly, Xiaowei, it's hot outside. Why don't you go back inside and study? Okay. Li Wei glanced hurriedly at Anai Yang before turning to go inside. Chen Jinfeng turned to Anai Yang, all smiles. Yang, have you sold all your noodles this morning? Chen Jinfeng was a diligent housewife. Every morning she would cook on time, unaware that Anai Yang's pickled fish noodles at the morning market were selling out. So every time Anai Yang told them she had sold out, they thought she was boasting. Anai Yang nodded, yes. Auntie, I have done my cleaning here. I'm heading home. Go ahead. Chen Jinfeng waved at Anai Yang. Once Anai Yang had left, Chen Jinfeng called into the house. Xiaowei, we have to remain grounded in life. Don't always think about shortcuts or getting carried away. For example, when choosing a girl to marry, shouldn't the couple come from similar backgrounds? Chen Jinfeng's voice was loud, her words a veiled criticism, causing Anai Yang to frown in confusion. Although Anai Yang didn't fully understand what Chen Jinfeng was hinting at, she knew that those words were intended for her to hear. It seemed she needed to work harder, strive further, to buy her own shop and no longer depend on others. After leaving the shop, Anai Yang went to the vegetable market and bought more than 30 fish and a rooster. Why a rooster? Because it was cheaper than a hen, costing only 3 yuan. A hen would cost 6 yuan. The rooster was over 4 pounds, plenty for 3 people to eat. Once she returned home and had finished eating, Anai Tsuehua had already prepared the rooster. Yang, how should we cook this chicken tonight? Anai Tsuehua had taken Anai Yang's advice to heart. She was no longer wearing her old, worn-out clothes, but the batwing shirt and bell-bottom pants she had tried out the night before. She had even put on a bra. She looked beautiful and confident. Anai Yang stroked her chin thoughtfully. Let's have roasted chicken tonight. Roasted chicken with its golden crust and juicy meat, neither too dry nor too greasy. Just the thought of it made one's mouth water. Roasted chicken? This was the first time Anai Tsuehua had heard of it. She only knew 2 ways to cook chicken, either braised in soy sauce or in clear broth. How was chicken roasted? With these thoughts in her mind, Anai Tsuehua couldn't help but voice her doubts. Anai Yang explained with a smile, well roasted in our bread baking oven. The bread oven was a natural oven that could roast anything. Tsuehua didn't ask any more questions and said, "I'll go start the fire now." Yang nodded, "I'll start marinating the chicken." The mother and daughter worked in perfect harmony. By the time Yang was done marinating the chicken, the bread oven was preheated. Yang carefully placed the chicken in the oven. Roasting chicken was a lengthy process, and she took this opportunity to attend to other tasks. In the afternoon, a drizzle began to fall. Little Yun was sleeping on her bed. The fish had been filleted, and both the fish soup and sour plum soup were stewing on the stove. Although Yang could have used this opportunity to rest, she was someone who couldn't stand idleness. Seeing Tsuehua beside her, Yang suddenly had a new idea. "Mum, shall I teach you to read?" Chapter 96. The little girl is quite capable. Tsuehua is a bona fide country folk, deeply influenced by the tradition of favoring males over females, and has received no formal education from childhood. As a child, her days were filled with picking pigweed and toiling in the collective farm to earn work points. However, such conditions were not unique to Tsuehua. Many rural women her age were illiterate. Some have even never stepped foot outside their county their entire life. Read the alphabet? Tsuehua was taken aback at first, then bursted out laughing. "At my age? Learn to read?" Illiteracy was a significant problem and incredibly inconvenient. Every time Tsuehua held out a stack of papers to ask Yang which were important and which could be thrown away, it tugged at Yang's heartstrings. Especially in the advanced information technology era, being illiterate was practically paralyzing. If she was going to relive her life, Yang wanted to change not only herself but also her mother. She was determined to help Tsuehua become a little better than before. "You have to learn," insisted Yang very seriously. "Mom, you're only 36. There's no limit to what your future can hold. Being illiterate is a laughing matter out there." At that, Tsuehua was dumbfounded. Did her future truly hold unlimited possibilities? Back in the countryside, everyone was illiterate, so she didn't feel out of place. But ever since she arrived in Beijing and started interacting with the local villagers, Tsuehua had come to realize her own shortcoming. Like when that disdainful woman Wang Jinfang from the village covertly ridiculed her for being an illiterate, she didn't even know what being an illiterate meant, and she had just laughed along with everyone else. It wasn't until much later that she found out illiterate meant not knowing how to read or write, being uneducated. Thinking about this, the smile on Quihua's face gradually faded. Looking up at Yang, she asked, "Yang, can I still learn now?" With such an outstanding daughter, she as a mother must not hinder her progress. Yang nodded, "Yes, of course. Mom, you're so clever. I'm sure you'll pick it up." Determined to stand strong and no longer be a burden to her daughter, Tsuehua decided to follow Yang's advice and learn the alphabet. Yang took 2 notebooks and a pair of pens out of the house. "Mom, first let's learn to write your name." "All right." Tsuehua nodded in agreement. Yang had a beautiful handwriting. Small regular script, each stroke distinct and forceful, as if printed straight from a textbook. Although Yang had an elegant, passionate yet rough penmanship as well, it wasn't appropriate to show it off as she was teaching Tsuehua how to read and write. "Our Yang has such beautiful handwriting." Although Tsuehua was illiterate, she could tell beautiful from ugly, and her eyes were filled with pride. Yang handed the pen to Tsuehua. "Why don't you give it a try?" Tsuehua nervously accepted the pencil. These hands had tilled the soil, planted the seedlings, done all sorts of strenuous work, but strangely couldn't seem to hold a pen properly today. Yang's writing lines were straight and clear, while hers were a messy, zigzagging scrawl, and to make matters worse, her hands were uncontrollably trembling. Just as Tsuehua was feeling stupid and useless, Yang leaned over, gently held Quihua's pen-holding hand and slowly guided her, stroke by stroke. "Mom, it's like this for everyone the first time they learn to write. Don't get disheartened. My first handwriting was even worse than yours. They say teaching elderly people and children literacy is the most challenging. But Tsuehua was neither elderly nor a child, and she was clever to boot, hence Yang believed that she could definitely teach her well. Tsuehua then said, "But Yang, your handwriting is so beautiful now." Yang chuckled, "Well, don't you see how many years I've practiced? It's your first day, you can't rush these things. It has to be taken slow." With that said, Tsuehua was considerably more at ease. After 10 minutes of hands-on lesson by Yang, Tsuehua was able to write her own name independently. Although her handwriting was not very good, it was already a giant leap forward. Having learned to write her name, Ni Yang then started teaching Ni Tsuehua phonetics, spelling. Ni Yang wrote all 26 alphabets on a piece of paper. Seeing those letters played out, it was as if Ni Tsuehua had opened a long-lost gate of memory. Vague as it was, she could vaguely hear a gentle voice teaching her, "This is pronounced a-oi." Chapter 97. The little girl is quite capable _. Ni Quiliua opened her mouth and recited following the sound in her memory, "E0e." What came next? However, Ni Tsuehua couldn't remember no matter how hard she tried. Ni Yang looked at Ni Tsuehua in surprise. "Mom, how did you know these phonetic alphabets?" Ni Tsuehua shook her head. "I don't know, it just feels like I've heard it somewhere." Heard it somewhere? Ni Yang narrowed her eyes subtly. Could this be related to her mother's past? Ni Tsuehua continued, "Maybe I heard it by accident when I was herding cows. Don't the students at school always recite it this way?" "Oe." The elementary school in Dam Village is in the village center where Ni Tsuehua used to herd cows, so this seemed like a plausible explanation. Ni Yang didn't think further and continued teaching Ni Tsuehua phonics. Ni Tsuehua was really smart. In a short while, she grasped the meaning of the 26 phonetic alphabets. She also understood the differences between initials, finals, front nasal sounds and back nasal sounds. By the end of an afternoon, Ni Tsuehua could already independently spell words using phonetics. Ni Yang laughed saying, "Mom, if you had been schooled, I'm sure you could have been admitted to a prestigious university." Ni Tsuehua was very pleased and asked, "Really?" "Of course it's true," Ni Yang continued, "otherwise how could your daughter be so smart? All because I inherited your good genes." "Genes?" Ni Tsuehua asked curiously, "What are genes? Are they different from roosters and hens?" Ni Yang laughed. "Genes, also known as hereditary factors, are all the nucleotide sequences needed to produce a polypeptide chain or functional RNA." Ni Tsuehua was completely lost. In her heart, she exclaimed that it is better to be educated. This was the second time she couldn't understand what someone was saying. Seeing Ni Quihua's confusion, Ni Yang continued, "Let me give you a simple analogy. It's like you sow melon seeds and you get melons, sow beans and you get beans. This is the power of inheritance, also known as genes." With this explanation, Ni Tsuehua understood. She laughed. "Oh, I understand now, like a dragon gives birth to a dragon, a phoenix to a phoenix, and a mouse's offspring can dig holes." Ni Yang nodded with laughter. Right, that's the principle." After saying this, she added, "Mom, you stay here and study phonetics, I'm going to prepare tonight's dinner." Ni Tsuehua immediately stood up, "I'll go with you." Ni Yang smiled, "No need, I can manage by myself." After finishing speaking, Ni Yang turned and walked towards the kitchen. Tonight's main dish is roasted chicken. However, eating roasted chicken alone can cause one to feel satiated, so she can prepare a couple of dishes to balance out the greasiness and a soup. Ni Yang pulled out the menu. The first dish, stir-fried green pepper with king oyster mushrooms. The Compendium of Materia Medica records king oyster mushrooms as sweet in taste, moderate in character, strengthens the spleen and stomach, nourishes the heart and calms the mind, nourishes the blood and moistens dryness, and has a good effect on hair maintenance. Hence, this dish is prepared to prevent hair loss. After all, hair is the second face of a person. One must take good care of it. Second dish, sour and spicy tender ginger mixed with lettuce. Ginger is rich in protein, sugar, fat, iron, salt, etc., as well as rich gingerol and shogal, hailed as the king of rust removal, and lettuce contains abundant fluorine elements. This combination can effectively whiten teeth. If only the external image is good, but one reveals a mouth of big yellow teeth when they speak, it's not attractive. Toothpaste cannot bring about such whitening effects. In her previous life, Ni Yang wasted quite a bit of money to whiten her teeth. She even resorted to expensive porcelain teeth, but artificial ones can't compare to natural ones. Therefore, in this life, Ni Yang decided to take care of her own teeth. Even if one is born beautiful, they still need to be maintained. If not maintained, soon one will become haggard from kitchen smoke and turn into a yellow-faced woman. The third dish is soup, adenophora and polygonatum soup with pork ribs. The Compendium of Materia Medica classifies polygonatum as a top-grade medicinal material and records. Treats all deficiencies, long-term use gets rid of a dark complexion, promotes a good skin tone and moistens skin, lightens the body and slows down aging. Hence, adenophora and polygonatum soup with pork ribs has a great effect in whitening and moisturizing the skin. After deciding on what to eat for the night, Ni Yang began to prepare. Having prepared all these dishes, night gradually fell. Anai Tsuehua was collecting clothes in the yard. She was very focused, reciting the 26 phonetic alphabets while collecting clothes, and didn't even notice when Ni Yang passed by her. Chapter 98. The little girl is quite capable. 3. Ni Yang walked to the oven, and as soon as she opened the little door of the oven, she was greeted with an alluring aroma of roasted chicken. No franchises such as KFC, McDonald's, or How to Duck can compare to the aroma of the chicken roasted in this oven. Ni Yang wasn't initially hungry, but upon catching this aroma, her mouth began to water uncontrollably. It was indeed too fragrant. Soon the aroma filled the entire yard. The moment Ni Qingwei entered the yard, she smelled the aroma and exclaimed, "Yang, what delicious dish are you cooking again?" She felt incredibly lucky to have met Ni Yang on the train. Ni Yang, carrying a dish, walked out of the kitchen and smiled. "And Ni, can you guess?" Ni Qingwei took a sniff. "It smells so good, I guess it must be meat?" Ni Tsuehua approached from the side. "Sister Qingge, can you guess what meat it is?" Ni Qingwei laughed. "It must be pork, right? What else, besides pork, can be made so fragrant? Such aroma is absolutely delightful." "It's chicken," Ni Tsuehua replied. Ni Qingwei paused, expressing her surprise. "Chicken can be made this fragrant?" Ni Qingwei had eaten chicken stew and chicken soup before, but she had never even seen chicken made this fragrant before. Ni Tsuehua continued, "Yes, it's chicken, Yang's roasted chicken. Sister Qingge, please wash your hands and prepare to come in for the meal." Roasted chicken? The news clearly brightened Ni Qingwei's eyes. She had long heard of roasted chicken, but she had never eaten it. Because some areas in the country are not fully equipped yet, it's not easy to get to eat roasted chicken. However, she heard from others that roasted chicken was indeed delicious. Ni Qingwei couldn't resist swallowing her saliva. "All right, I will be right there." She immediately went to the well to wash her hands. When Ni Qingwei came to the living room after washing her hands, Ni Yang had already prepared the meal and set the bowls and chopsticks. But the first thing Ni Qingwei noticed was not the food, but Ni Tsuehua. In the dark yard just now, she couldn't see clearly. She didn't realize that Ni Tsuehua was dressed so nicely today. Yang's mom looks very pretty today. Looking at them, Ni Yang's beauty and confidence were clearly inherited from Ni Qihua's superior genes. Ni Tsuehua was a little shy and tugged at the corner of her clothes. "This daughter of mine, Yang, insisted that I dress this way." Ni Qingwei laughed. "This dress suits you very well, you should have worn it long time ago." Ni Qingwei looked at the shiny roasted chicken on the table with astonishment. Yang, how did you roast this chicken?" Ni Yang explained, "It was roasted in the oven." Ni Qingwei nodded, sighing, Yang, you're truly amazing. Even if I had an oven, I wouldn't be able to roast this." "Aunt and you are just being modest. Anyone could learn it as long as they are willing to spend their heart on it." Ni Yang tore off 2 chicken legs and put them into Ni Qihua's and Ni Chenghui's bowls respectively. "Mom, Aunt and let's start eating." A chicken only has 2 legs, which are among the most precious parts of the chicken's body. Both Ni Qingwei and Ni Tsuehua refused the chicken legs Ni Yang passed to them. Ni Yang had been busy all day and had worked hard all day. Therefore, the one who should enjoy the chicken leg should have been Ni Yang. Ni Yang smiled and tore off a piece of chicken wing. "And Ni Mom, you guys eat. I'm fine with a chicken wing." Seeing Ni Yang being so sensible, Ni Qihua's eyes were full of comfort and relief. Ni Qingwei was also full of feelings in her heart. Ni Yang was indeed a good girl. She was really envious of Ni Tsuehua. The roasted chicken was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. With every bite, the rich, savory chicken juice exploded in the mouth. The delicate, succulent meat got more flavorful with every bite. Coupled with the 2 side dishes stir-fried by Ni Yang, it wasn't greasy at all. They tasted delicious and satisfied their cravings. Both Ni Tsuehua and Ni Qingwei were tasting such delicious roasted chicken for the first time. They wished they could swallow their tongues too. Yang, this is simply delicious." Ni Qingwei was so emotionally moved that she almost cried. Ni Tsuehua also nodded continuously, "Very, very delicious." Seeing the roasted chicken she made was so popular, Ni Yang's heart was full of pride. Life was becoming more and more exciting. It was really great. After the meal, Ni Qingwei took 10 yuan out of her pocket and gave it to Ni Tsuehua. "Yang's mom, this is for this month's food expenses." Ni Tsuehua took out 5 yuan from the house and handed it to Ni Qingwei. However, Ni Qingwei refused to accept this 5 yuan. "Yang's mom, the dishes Yang cooks are so delicious, even 10 yuan seems less to me. Please keep it." There's no need to be polite with me. Chapter 99. The little girl is quite capable. _4. Ni Qingrui wasn't exaggerating. Considering Ni Yang's culinary skills, she felt that even 20 yuan would be worth it, let alone 10 yuan. However, Ni Tsuehua insisted on giving back the 5 yuan to Ni Qingrui. Sister Qingrui, integrity is crucial. We agreed on 5 yuan, I can't take an extra 5 more from you. If you refuse to take back your money, I won't let you join us for meals at our house tomorrow. Despite never having received an education, Ni Tsuehua understood principles and valued promises. She knew it was wrong to take advantage of others. Though indeed Ni Yang's cooking was delicious, it didn't cost much. Furthermore, their relationship with Ni Qingrui was excellent, just like family, and they didn't fret over that 5 yuan. Seeing Ni Tsuehua like this, Ni Qingrui had no choice but to take back the 5 yuan. Her admiration for Ni Tsuehua increased even more. At this moment, Ni Yang was bustling around in the kitchen. She was preparing the food she would bring to Grandma Imo tomorrow morning. The elderly woman's appetite wasn't great, and she would feel tired of eating the same thing all the time, so Ni Yang had specially compiled a menu. She planned different meals for Monday, Tuesday, striving to avoid repetitions. Tomorrow was Tuesday and on the menu was 1. Toast. 2. Jujube longan porridge. The Depay herbal book states, longan nourishes the spleen and stomach, enriches blood and the heart, moistens the 5 viscera and treats palpitations. Elderly people tend to have deficiency in both energy and blood. This porridge not only stimulates the appetite, but also replenishes energy and blood, and nourishes the body. 3. Cold mixed sour and spicy ear mushrooms. The record of herbs collected in Lingnan says, ear mushrooms are used to treat dysentery caused by damp heat. The Fujian folk herbal medicine records, ear mushrooms relieve heat, smooth intestines, cure abscesses, detoxify and treat appendicitis. Therefore, for elderly people, these mushrooms are an exceptional dish, especially for those suffering from rheumatic diseases. Rheumatism happens to be a common illness among the elderly. Ni Yang was not only ensuring she ate well, but also ensuring Grandma Imo was well fed. If she had accepted Li Gongcheng's money, she must serve with all her heart and effort. After settling the menu, Ni Yang started kneading the dough for fermentation and left it until the next morning to bake. After finishing work in the kitchen, Ni Yang finally took a bath. After her bath, she delivered all the money she made today to Ni Tsuehua. Today she sold more than 600 portions of noodles and 300 cups of sour plum soup, earning a total of 210 yuan. These days Ni Yang was making more money each day, and Ni Tsuehua had gradually gotten used to it. Mum, Ni Yang asked while drying her hair, how much money have we made in total? She had been selling noodles for almost 2 months, but she didn't know how much more she needed to buy a store. Ni Tsuehua replied, let me go count it. All this time Ni Tsuehua had only been hiding the money and had never counted it. As the saying goes, wealth should not be exposed. So, before taking out the money, Ni Tsuehua made sure to close the doors and windows and tightly draw the curtains, leaving no gaps. Soon Ni Tsuehua brought out a small red wooden box from under the bed. As soon as they opened the box, both mother and daughter were stunned. The box was packed full with money. There were 5-cent coins, 10-cent notes and larger denomination notes. Ni Tsuehua had been too busy to notice when she put the money in that the box was already filled to the brim. That's a lot of money. Ni Yang emptied all the money on the bed, and her eyes sparkled. Ni Tsuehua exclaimed in surprise, I've never seen so much money in my entire life. Thinking that her daughter earned all this money made Ni Tsuehua swell with pride. Her daughter was truly amazing. Mum, let's count how much we have. Okay, Ni Tsuehua nodded her head. Mother and daughter sat down on the bed and began counting money. About 15 minutes later, after counting all the money on the bed, Ni Yang said, I have 4,965 yuan and 3 cents, how much do you have, Mum? Suppressing her surprise, Ni Tsuehua replied, I have 3,035 yuan and 97 cents, how much is that in total? Without hesitation Ni Yang said, that's 8,001 yuan in total. Ni Tsuehua swallowed hard and said incredulously, 8,000 yuan? Oh my god. How could it be so much money? Ni Tsuehua could never have imagined she would have so much money. 8,000 yuan. This sum was more than what an average person would earn in several years. That's terrifying. In contrast to Ni Qihua's shock, Ni Yang's face didn't show any particular expression. Earning 8,000 yuan was within her expectations. Chapter 100. The little girl is quite capable. _5. It was precisely because the 80s were full of business opportunities that money came in fast. And Yang laughed and said, "Mom, don't be surprised. Actually, 8,000 yuan isn't much. The shop I'm interested in is 508 yuan per square meter, and it's a total of 50 square meters, requiring more than 20,000 yuan. The money we have right now isn't even half of that amount." All calculations done, she realized that if she worked hard, she could buy a store by the end of the year. In the future, the price of real estate in Beijing had already risen to astronomical heights, especially for retail spaces. Therefore, Yang decided to buy more shops and houses to hold on to. When she no longer needed to do the noodle business in the future, Tsuehua could just sit at home and collect rent. When she thought of a promising future, Yang couldn't help but smile. Qinggui exclaimed in surprise, "Why are stores so expensive?" Yang laughed and said, "Because the location is not bad, this price is already a bargain." In this era, being a self-employed entrepreneur was not a prestigious job, so many people were reluctant to do business, thus leading to lower prices for real commercial properties. Although Yang thought it was a bargain, others perceived it as expensive. After all, the average wage for workers during this era was around 30 or 40 yuan per month. After Xianxia returned from the Mo family, she made a phone call to Dam Village from a public phone booth. Since it took some time to connect the call and to call Li Shu, almost half an hour had passed. When Li Shu picked up the phone, she was so antsy, fearing that her daughter would ask about Yang. As expected, right after saying hello, the second thing Li Xianxian asked was about Yang. Swallowing nervously, Li Shu tried to calm herself down and said, "Xianxian, don't worry. Yang, that damn girl, has been picked up by that old bachelor." In this situation, Li Shu could only choose to withhold the truth. If she were to reveal the truth to Li Xianxian would surely blame her for not being able to handle such a simple task. She didn't want her daughter to be disappointed in her for being an incompetent mother. Yang left Dam Village with her incapable mother, two women with a burden, penniless. They may have already starved to death by now. They were no threat to Li Xianxian, who was far away in Beijing. Moreover, Yang was just a country bumpkin. Her daughter Li Xianxian was a university student and the lifesaver of a person of high status, with a promising future ahead of her. Yang was nothing in comparison to Li Xianxian. Thinking like this helped Li Shu feel much reassured. Fearing any oversights, Li Xianxian asked, "By the way, Mom, is Mu Yang's mother surnamed Ni?" Li Xianxian remembered that the reason why Yang was called Yang was because, like herself, she took her mother's surname. In fact, Li Xianxian and Yang came from similar family backgrounds. Fortunately, she got out of that cage early on. "Yes, that's right. Mu Yang's mother is called Tsuehua," Li Shu replied. Upon hearing this, Li Xianxian felt a lot more assured. It appeared that she was overthinking. Mu Yang was Yang. The little Ni who cooked for Mrs. Mo had nothing to do with Yang. Li Xianxian continued, "Mom, be sure to keep an eye on Mu Yang. Don't let her have any chance to escape or rebound." Saying this, a malicious glint flashed in Li Xianxian's eyes. Li Shu originally wanted to ask Li Xianxian why she was so wary of Yang, but fearing that her daughter would detect something, she held back her question. "Xianxian, rest assured, I will not let her escape." Li Shu's legs were trembling as she said this. Thankfully, she didn't tell Li Xianxian the truth just now. Otherwise, who knows how angry Li Xianxian would be. Li Xianxian continued, "Right, I sent you some money a few days ago. You should receive it in a few days. Don't forget to collect it at the post office." "All right, Xianxian. I got it." Li Shu replied, "Take good care of yourself out there. Don't let me worry about you." Li Xianxian casually replied a few sentences before hanging up. At the same time, the rock hanging in her heart finally fell to the ground. Li Shu, having hung up the phone on her end, also breathed a sigh of relief. No, she needed to go back and pray to the Bodhisattva, hoping that the Bodhisattva would bless that little wretch Yang to die early. Otherwise she would always feel restless. Chapter 101. The little girl is quite capable. _6. Mo family. While tidying up the living room, Mrs. Mo suddenly discovered a glass bottle in the bag that Li Gongqing had sent over in the morning. The bottle held a deep purple-red liquid that looked very appealing. So Mrs. Mo placed a call to Li Gongqing to inquire. Upon hearing his explanation, Mrs. Mo asked puzzledly, "Sour plum soup? The kind that you can drink?" Li Gongqing responded, "Yes, exactly. This was made by Boss Xiaoni. Tastes good. You could give it a try, madam." Having full trust in Yang's cooking skills, after hanging up the phone, Mrs. Mo opened the bottle of sour plum soup, poured a cup, took a small sip, and then couldn't help but drink all the soup in the cup in one gulp. It was delicious. Mrs. Emo had never tasted such good sour plum soup before. Just then Emo Chishin walked in from outside. Mrs. Emo beckoned Emo Chishin, saying, "Old Six, come here, Mom has something good for you." "What is it?" Emo Chishin approached curiously. Mrs. Emo poured the last bit of sour plum soup into the cup and passed it to Emo Chishin. "Try this. I guarantee you've never had such delicious sour plum soup." "Sour plum soup? Sweet." Emo Chishin frowned. In his life he despised sweet things the most. Just as he was about to turn it down, Mrs. Emo continued, "Go ahead, give it a try. It really tastes good. Wouldn't your mother deceive you?" Dubious, Emo Chishin took over the cup and tentatively took a small sip. The flavor was surprisingly good. It was sour and sweet, delightful to the taste. And it carried with it a hint of osmanthus fragrance. Tasted better than any other beverage he had ever had. Gulp, gulp. Emo Chishin finished the sour plum soup in the cup in one gulp, and even had a lingering taste for it. Mrs. Emo chuckled. "See, didn't I tell you it's delicious?" Emo Chishin nodded. "Indeed, it's pretty good. Mom, where'd you get such a treasure?" Upon hearing this, Mrs. Emo immediately told Emo Chishin about the pickled vegetable noodles and praised Enai Yang from start to finish. Enai? For some reason, whenever he heard this name, Enai Yang's beautiful face appeared in Emo Chishin's mind. The little girl was talented. Having only met her once, she made him feel head over heels. It seemed he had to start dealing with a few things. It shouldn't affect his pursuit of his future wife. "What are you laughing at?" Mrs. Emo asked in curiosity as she watched Emo Chishin. Emo Chishin replied with a serious face, "I'm happy, Mom. You've got an appetite, everything tastes good, and you're incredibly healthy. Why wouldn't I, as your son, be happy?" "You rascal, only think of amusing your mom." Mrs. Emo patted Emo Chishin's shoulder cheerfully. Then Emo Chishin took out a high-end gift box. "Mom, I also have a gift for you. Open it and see." Mrs. Emo was stunned at first, then opened the box. Inside it was a set of emerald jewelry in excellent condition. The magnificent green shade of the jade was clear and unblemished, reminiscent of a pure jade spring, tranquil and elegant with a vibrant verdant luster, without a trace of flaws, dazzling yet exuding a soft, dignified aura. One can tell at a glance that it was worth a fortune. Emo Chishin asked, "Mom, do you like it?" Satisfied with her son's filial piety, Mrs. Emo burst into laughter. "Like it? Like it?" Anything given by her son, even if it's a useless piece of stone, she would also love it. She promptly had the maid store away the set of jewelry, then took out 2 cards from her pocket and handed them to Emo Chishin. "You rascal, keep these cards." Deep down Mrs. Emo was aware of the value of that jade jewelry set. Probably this rascal spent all his money just to cheer her up. What a rascal. At least he's filial. It was worthwhile doting on him so much. Emo Chishin declined. "I am so grown up now, do I still need money from you?" "I do have money. You don't have to worry about me." Chapter 102 Mr. Mog, his new attracting move? _1 Rich? This was already the umpteenth time that Emo Chishin had told Mrs. Emo that he was rich, but Mrs. Emo never actually took his words to heart. After all, Emo Chishin had dropped out of school in his second year of high school, even disappearing for a while, and never continued his education afterwards. He didn't even complete high school, let alone university. So, at most, you could say Emo Chishin had a junior high school education. Nowadays, factories were only hiring those with at least a high school diploma. Moreover, Emo Chishin wasn't holding any positions in any of the Emo family's businesses either. So, how could a man with so much free time have any money? Don't put on a brave face in front of your mother, put your money away. Mrs. Emo gently patted Emo Chishin's hand and said meaningfully, "My dear sixth child, I never expected you would make a big success in this life. As long as you are safe and sound, that's all that matters. Our family has lots of money, all of which I am saving for you, so you don't have to worry about the future. All mother wants now is for you to bring back that girl from the Zhao family and give her a big, chubby grandson." Emo Chishin helplessly rubbed his nose and laughed. "Zhao Jingrong is a talented student from France. Do you think I'm good enough for her?" "Don't be absurd." Mrs. Emo scolded. "The Zhao family is very reliable and generous, and Jingrong is indeed a rare good girl. You two have been betrothed in advance, and they definitely won't renege on their promise." Mrs. Emo and Emo Fuhai were on the same page. They both placed their utmost trust in the Zhao family. Generous? The people of the Zhao family really were generous indeed. Emo Chishin chuckled and remained silent. After going upstairs, Emo Chishin made a phone call. Mo Chishan held the phone and unlike his usual casual demeanor, he appeared composed and somber. If others were to see him now they would surely be taken aback. When did a usually unproductive and idle person start to emanate such a powerful aura? Hello, it's time to leak the news to the Zhao family. After uttering this sentence, Mo Chishan hung up the phone. In the blink of an eye, Mo Chishan reverted back to his usual self, as if what had just happened was merely an illusion. The next day, signed she had to prepare breakfast for Mrs. Mo and Yang got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Unexpectedly, Tsuehua had woken up even earlier. At this time, not only had Tsuehua already stoked the oven for the bread, but she had also tidied up all the stuff that Yang needed for her stall. With Kuihua's help, Yang's work was completed much faster. She first kneaded the fermented dough into the shape of bread and placed it into the oven to bake. Then she began to stir-fry. All the ingredients were prepared the night before, so all she needed to do was wash them and she was ready to cook. While Yang was stir-frying, Tsuehua sat by the stove and kept the fire going. In no time, the small kitchen was filled with the fragrant smell of the dishes. When the dishes were done, the bread was also almost ready. Yang made a dozen or so loaves of bread. She took 2 with her to give to Mrs. Mo, ate 1 herself, and left the remaining 7 for Tsuehua and Chingui. There's nothing like sipping porridge, munching on bread, and enjoying some tangy radish slices for breakfast. After breakfast and after preparing everything, Yang set off for the morning market. At 5:30, Yang arrived at the morning market on time. Although she arrived earlier than usual that day, there were already quite a few customers waiting for her. "Little boss, you're finally here. Do you have sour plum soup this morning?" Yang smiled and replied, "Yes, I've prepared 500 servings for this morning." With everyone's help, it didn't take long for the stove and tables and chairs to be set up. Li Gongqing arrived a bit later than usual that morning, so by the time it was his turn, he handed his thermos to Yang, excitedly saying, "Xiaoni, our old lady really loves the breakfast you make. From now on, could you please make her breakfast every day? The one who pays is the boss and you do what the boss said." Yang took the thermos and smiling said, "No problem, it's my duty. Does the old lady want the usual breakfast this morning?" Li Gongqing nodded, "Yes, and also a cup of sour plum soup." Although had sour plum soup before, those soups didn't taste even 1/3 as good as the one made by Yang. After a sip, Li Gongqing fell in love with that taste. It was simply amazing. When Li Gongqing arrived at the Mo family after eating his noodles, it was exactly 7 o'clock. At this time, Mrs. Mo had been waiting impatiently in the living room. Mrs. Mo. Chapter 103 Mr. Mog, his new attracting move? _2. Xiaoli. Seeing Li Gongqing, old lady Mo excitedly stood up. Li Gongqing handed the bag to old lady Mo. "Old lady, this is your breakfast for this morning." "Good, good, good." Old lady Mo immediately opened the bag, a bit disappointed. "How come there's no sour plum soup this morning?" Li Gongqing explained, "Boss Xiaoni said that elderly people shouldn't eat too much sweet stuff, so she didn't prepare sour plum soup for you." "Oh." Old lady Mo nodded. This boss Xiaoni does know quite a lot. Strangely, old lady Mo felt a warmth in her heart. It was fine that there was no sour plum soup. After all, boss Xiaoni's cooking skills were top-notch. Old lady Mo now was surely Yang's #1 fan. Li Gongqing continued, "Old lady, you eat first, it'll be going now." "Yep, go ahead with your work." As soon as Li Gongqing left, old lady Mo opened the thermos box. The thermos box and yesterday's are in pairs. In total there were 3 layers. The first layer was juju blangan porridge. The second layer was sour and spicy ear mushrooms. The third layer contained 2 items wrapped in oil paper. It was unclear what they were. Old lady Mo was curious. As she unwrapped the oil paper layer by layer, a fragrant sweet milky aroma immediately hit her face. What met her eyes was a golden, glistening bread. The crust was crispy and the inside fluffy and delicate. As she gently broke it apart, steam could be seen emanating from inside. It smelled delicious. Old lady Mo took a deep breath. This Xiaoni really did surprise her every morning. Old lady Mo had eaten buns and steamed buns as well as bread bought from outside, but this was the first time she had eaten such tasty bread. The taste, it was simply amazing. Why was she so fond of Xiaoni? Unconsciously, old lady Mo developed a fondness for this Xiaoni whom she had never met before. Not long after Mo Baichuan came down from upstairs, he actively greeted old lady Mo. "Good morning, grandma. Chuan, come here, join your grandma for breakfast." Old lady Mo waved at him. Mo Baichuan did as she said and walked over. Old Lady Mo handed the remaining bread to Mo Baichuan. Mo Baichuan refused lightly. I don't have an appetite in the morning, Grandma. I'm just going to watch you eat. No appetite? Old Lady Mo laughed. Chuan, I guarantee after you eat something Xiaoni made, you will immediately get your appetite back. Xiaoni? An Aiyang? This was made by an Aiyang? Mo Baichuan subtly squinted his eyes. An Aiyang, you really have overreached yourself. Despite being indifferent to him, she managed to make his family so happy behind the scenes. Wasn't this a classic case of playing hard to get? Old Lady Mo continued, Chuan, why don't you take a bite? I was just like you before, didn't have much of an appetite. But ever since I started eating food prepared by Xiaoni, it got much better. Who wants to eat something made by a woman with ulterior motives? Mo Baichuan hid all his displeasure at the bottom of his eyes, then said, Grandma, I really can't eat. Alright, I have something else to do, I have to go now. Before Old Lady Mo could react, Mo Baichuan's figure had already disappeared outside the door. This damn kid. Old Lady Mo sighed helplessly. The Zhao family had 2 sons and 1 daughter. The daughter, Zhao Jingrong, had been spoiled from a young age. Zhao Jingrong was 3 years younger than Mo Qixin, 24 this year. 24-year-old Zhao Jingrong had an excellent reputation in Beijing circles of wealth. Not only was she beautiful, but she was also a talented student who studied abroad in France. If it wasn't for her engagement with Mo Qixin, her doorstep would probably have been worn out by suitors. Early in the morning, everyone in the Zhao family was gathered in the living room, the atmosphere a bit heavy. Zhao Baoxing looked up at his beloved daughter. Jingrong, I heard that the youngest Mo lad has returned, what's your opinion on this matter? Zhao Jingrong carelessly replied while blowing on her freshly painted nails. He's back, what does it have to do with me? Zhao Baoxing continued, Jingrong, have you forgotten you are still engaged to him? Zhao Jingrong chuckled lightly, engagement? Whoever agreed to this engagement can go ahead and marry. How dare that useless Mo Qixin dream of marrying her, a swan, just because he's a toad? In his dreams, Zhao Baoxing was left speechless by his precious daughter. This engagement, after all, had been arranged by them, the parents. The Mrs. Zhao on the side leisurely interjected, the engagement back then was just verbal, it doesn't really count for anything, right? Chapter 104 Mr. Mog, his new attracting move? _3. Zhao Baoxing lamented, but we have accepted the token from the Mo family. In the beginning, Mo Qixin was arguably an once-in-millennium genius. At the age of 3, Mo Qixin could recite all Tang and Song dynasty poetry. At 4 he could mentally calculate any addition, subtraction, multiplication or division problem. At 5 he could discuss 5,000 years of Chinese history, even in more detail than historical records. At 6 he started first grade and at 7 he skipped to third grade. The Zhao family would not have arranged a marriage with the Mo family so early on if it weren't for this. The Zhao family was certain that Mo Qixin's future was beyond measure. Who could have expected that they had overestimated him, making the wrong gamble? They all had high hopes for Mo Qixin, but to their surprise, Mo Qixin lost his genius, becoming gradually a mere ordinary person. He even became less than an ordinary person. At the very least, an ordinary person knows to work and earn a living to support the family, whereas Mo Qixin was capable of nothing but idleness. Madame Zhao was dismissive, so what if we accepted a token? We can just return it. This isn't a big deal. Zhao Baoxing sighed, but one should not be so fickle in life. Besides, we have decades of friendship with the Mo family. How can we maintain this relationship if we break off the engagement? Madame Zhao cried out, not break off the engagement? So are you suggesting that our Jingrong be married to that good-for-nothing? Is friendship more important than our precious daughter? Mom is right. I'd be the first to object if we marry our sister to Mo Qixin. Zhao Zijuan, the oldest son of the Zhao family, clearly expressed his opinion. Zhao Zi, the second son, echoed, I also object to marrying our sister to Mo Qixin. That good-for-nothing Mo Qixin is absolutely unworthy of their precious sister. Their sister deserved the world's best man. Jingrong, Zhao Baoxing looked up at Zhao Jingrong, what do you think? This decision ultimately depends on his precious daughter. Zhao Jingrong smiled and said, Dad, you're really muddle-headed. With that incompetent Mo Qixin, how could he possibly deserve me? I, Zhao Jingrong, would rather never marry than marry someone like Mo Qixin. I would rather marry a man like Mr. Mog. Mr. Mog is a legendary figure in high society. Everything about him is a mystery, his age, identity, even nationality. Even Zhao Jingrong had only seen Mr. Mog's silhouette in the international news section. People in their circle could not help but feel admiration when they mentioned Mr. Mog. Zhao Baoxing continued, "But you've never even seen Mr. Mog's face, how do you know he's your type?" Zhao Jingrong answered with a light smile, "Dad, do you think I'm the type of person who is superficial enough to judge someone only by their appearance?" Appearance? Could a good appearance bring you gold or silver? Zhao Jingrong knew exactly what she wanted. She desired not just an exceptional lifestyle, but also ultimate glory. Could that incompetent Mo Qixin provide her with such glory? Madame Zhao nodded, "Jingrong, your mom supports you. You're so outstanding. You could not only win over one Mr. Mog but even 10 of them." Jingrong's two brothers agreed, their confidence in their sister completely unwavering. Zhao Baoxing said, "What if Mr. Mog turns out to be a much older man?" After all, the glory Mr. Mog had acquired was not something a young man could easily handle. This man might even be older than him. Zhao Jingrong gave a faint smile, "That would still be better than that good-for-nothing Mo Qixin." Zhao Baoxing sighed, "All right, Jingrong, Dad understands your point, I will find a time to discuss this matter with the Mo family." Zhao Jingrong gently put her nail polish on the coffee table, "Dad, you don't have to find a time, we should cut the knot quickly. Let's do it tomorrow, I will go with you." Also, Zhao Jingrong added, "Dad, breaking off the engagement is not a matter of negotiation, it is a necessity." Zhao Jingrong felt disgustingly nauseous just thinking about still being engaged to that good-for-nothing Mo Qixin. Her skin breaking out in goosebumps. "Little sister, we will accompany you," Zhao Jingrong's two older brothers said. Madame Zhao added, "He'll go with you too. Just in case the Mo family refuses to break off the engagement, we have strength in numbers." When the old lady from the Mo family found out that the Zhao family was coming the next day, she was so thrilled she could hardly close her mouth. She immediately ordered the servants to clean the entire house, inside and out, to show respect to the Zhao family. Chapter 105 Mr. Mog, his new attracting move? _4. Both sides' children had grown up now, and the Zhao family's visit at this time undoubtedly meant that they were prepared to discuss the wedding date of Mo Qixin and Zhao Jingrong. The thought of being able to hold her plump grandson in the not-so-distant future made the old Mrs. Mo sprightly, and she quickly went upstairs to share this good news with Mo Qixin. Upon hearing the news, Mo Qixin forced a smile. "All right, Mom, I got it." Old Mrs. Mo continued, "Old 6, remember to be on your best behavior in front of Jingrong tomorrow." Mo Qixin nodded, "You can count on me, Mother. I won't let you down." Old Mrs. Mo added, "And remember to tidy yourself up tomorrow. Don't be so frivolous." Mo Qixin nodded again, a trace of sarcasm hidden in the depths of his eyes. On Yurtist Road, around 11 in the morning, Yang had sold out her 600 servings of noodles and 500 cups of sour plum soup. She made a total of 220 yuan today, taking her a step closer to her goal of buying a shop. Yang smiled as she began packing up her stall. As she lowered her gaze to tidy up the bowls and utensils, a dark shadow suddenly loomed over her. At the same time, an oppressive aura filled the air around her, making it hard to breathe and creating a somewhat claustrophobic atmosphere. Yang instinctively looked up, her gaze meeting a pair of deep, icy black eyes. Their eyes locked, and the fluctuating emotions within his gaze were as deep and cold as an abyss, piercingly insightful as if they were going to see right through her. It was him, Mo Baichuan. That narcissistic piece of trash. Yang had no good impression of such arrogant and conceited people. However, she had shoved him into a puddle of water the last time they met. He couldn't be seeking revenge this time, could he? At this thought, Yang's eyes darkened. "Cook me a bowl of noodles." After a moment, Mo Baichuan spoke and then sat down on a stool. Yang shook off her surprise and replied softly, "I'm sorry, sir, I've already packed up." Mo Baichuan had been struggling to control himself ever since he saw Yang preparing food for old Mrs. Mo at the Mo family residence. Why was he struggling to control himself? Because he was suddenly desperate to see beyond Yang's beautiful exterior. Yang had been doing so many things from the start until now, with the sole purpose of getting close to him, right? Fine then. He would give her an opportunity. He was curious to see what other schemes Yang had up her sleeve. Mo Baichuan squinted imperceptibly. Seeing that he remained silent, Yang spoke up again, "Excuse me, sir, I've already packed up. If you want to eat noodles, you can come by tomorrow." "I told you my surname is Mo." Mo Baichuan suddenly looked at Yang. Mo, like in May the right prevail. "Oh." Yang's face didn't betray any emotions as she replied, Mr. Mo, I've packed up already. Please go back. Upon hearing this, Mo Baichuan frowned in displeasure. If he remembered correctly, this was the third time in just a few minutes that Yang had rejected him. Usually he was the one avoiding women, yet to his surprise he was being shunned by a woman today? Always running hot and cold? Was this some kind of a joke? I said, cook me a bowl of noodles. Mo Baichuan was determined. But I have packed up already. Yang repeated calmly, showing no fear whatsoever towards Mo Baichuan. Mo Baichuan raised his head to look at Yang coldly saying, Yang, do you find this amusing? Hearing this, Yang suddenly remembered something. Did you lose a watch about a month ago? Yang wasn't the type of person to take advantage of others' misfortune. The unpleasantness of their previous encounters had made her forget about the watch. Upon hearing this, Mo Baichuan's eyes filled with contempt. Was Yang trying to curry favor with him? Hadn't she just resolutely refused him? Couldn't she hide her true intentions for a tad longer? Moreover, hadn't she stolen his watch? And now she was saying that he had lost it? How shameless could she be? Mo Baichuan nodded slightly. Yes, I lost a watch. What brand was your watch? Yang asked. That watch was quite valuable, so it was necessary to confirm the details. Patek Philippe. Mo Baichuan calmly pronounced, not seeming at all perturbed about the valuable watch. Yang nodded slightly, then said, I don't have your watch on me today. Can you come back to pick it up tomorrow? I set up my stall here every day. Chapter 106 Mr. Mog, his new attracting move? _5. Get it tomorrow? Is she creating an excuse for meeting again? Yes, it must be the case. So, this is all the cunning that Yang has? Mo Baichuan thought to himself. Mo Baichuan continued, why wait for another day when it can be done today? My watch, it's very valuable. Very valuable? As if suggesting that she has some kind of ulterior motive. Yang frowned slightly and lightly said, but I don't have it with me today. They'll definitely bring it tomorrow, you can come and get it tomorrow. She couldn't always carry such a valuable item with her. What if she loses it? Where did you put it? Mo Baichuan slowly lifted his gaze. It's at home. Yang replied. Let's go. Mo Baichuan stood up from the bench. Go. Go where? Yang frowned. Where to? To your home. Mo Baichuan said with an indifferent tone, and then added 3 more words, to get the watch. Go to her home? Yang frowned slightly. The social climate wasn't that open yet. What would it mean if she brought back a man to her house for no reason? Seeing her reaction, Mo Baichuan continued, you don't want to return it to me? Are you serious about going? Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. Mo Baichuan maintained a calm expression. Of course I am. Okay. Yang nodded. Since you insist on going, then wait for me. I need to clean up here before I can go home. Mo Baichuan nodded slightly, concise in words. With Mr. Mo Baichuan standing there, the air around him seemed inexplicably colder. Consequently, the number of passers-by turning their heads back increased. Yang distinctly remembered that the missy in bell-bottoms and sunglasses had passed by here more than 5 times. After tidying up, Yang began moving the tables and chairs into Li Dongliang's shop. The shop wasn't far from here. From Mo Baichuan's perspective, he could clearly see the young man in white standing at the door, laughing and talking with Yang. It seemed like he even handed something to Yang. Most importantly, Yang actually accepted it. Seeing this, Mo Baichuan's face darkened involuntarily. A girl from a good family, chatting so happily with a man under the bright daylight. And wasn't Yang playing hard to get with him just now? Why did she turn around and flirt with someone else so quickly? Seeing this, Mo Baichuan became even more restless and strode towards Yang. Mo Baichuan had a tall and straight figure, and came from a distinguished background, so he emanated an imposing aura that was hard to ignore. This strong aura quietened Li Wei, who was in the midst of a conversation. He instantly stopped talking, looked behind Yang and whispered, who is he? Last time it was Song Beiqing, now it's Mo Baichuan. Li Wei felt the men appearing next to Yang were not simple characters. Who? Yang turned around with a curious look. As she turned around, she saw Mo Baichuan with an imposing look. A customer who came for noodles. Yang turned her gaze slightly and said casually, a customer who came for noodles? Mo Baichuan's expression remained the same, but his dark eyes slightly lifted, deep and inscrutable. He disliked the term customer somewhat. He turned his eyes to Yang and asked in a slightly cold tone, when should we go? Catching on to the word, Li Wei looked at Ni Yang with a scrutinizing gaze. It seemed that Ni Yang had a more than normal relationship with this man. If not, he wouldn't use the word we. For a moment, Li Wei felt a hint of unspoken bitterness in his heart. Ni Yang, with her head bowed, said, "Wait a little longer." However, Ni Yang didn't intend to bring Mo Baichuan back home. After packing up everything, she said, "Wait here, I will quickly return the wristwatch." Having said that, she hopped onto her bicycle and quickly rode away. Mo Baichuan was left standing there, a little slow to react. Why did Ni Yang just leave? Wasn't she supposed to use this chance to bring him to her home and get him acquainted? What was Ni Yang trying to do? Was she trying to entice him with a new strategy? Mo Baichuan narrowed his eyes. A new strategy, eh? He wouldn't let her succeed. Ni Yang had good physical stamina, so her bicycling speed was extremely fast. Less than an hour had passed when she returned. However, when she arrived, Mo Baichuan was nowhere to be found. She is crazy. Ni Yang couldn't resist muttering under her breath. Even though they both were part of the Mo family, his actions were far from those of Mo Qixin. Ni Yang was so angry she felt like kicking Mo Baichuan to death. What a piece of junk. Ni Yang took a deep breath, trying hard to calm herself down, tucked the wristwatch back in her pocket, and headed for the nearest Xinhua bookstore to pick out some books. Ni Yang selected beginner-level books, annotated storybooks with pinyin, and a few books with models for calligraphy. These books would be of great help to Ni Tsuehua, who was just learning to read. The total cost of 5 books amounted to 6 yuan. Although quite expensive, Ni Yang didn't regret it as knowledge is priceless. After Ni Yang returned home, she gave these books to Ni Tsuehua. Ni Tsuehua said affectionately, "Yang, these must have cost a lot, right?" Knowing Ni Tsuehua would be worried about the money, Ni Yang laughed and said, "It's not much, just a few cents." "Really?" Ni Tsuehua asked, suspicious. "Of course it's true." Ni Yang nodded hurriedly. "You think about it, our delicious noodles only cost 3 cents per bowl, how much can a few books be worth?" Hearing this, Ni Tsuehua was relieved. She was always afraid that Ni Yang would waste money on her. After all, Ni Yang's money was meant to be used to buy shops and make a big deal. "Sister Ni Yang." At that moment, the voice of Yang Guobao rang out from outside the courtyard. "Guobao, come in," Ni Yang called back. Yang Guobao walked in carefully with a basket in his hands. "Sister Ni Yang, my grandma and mother asked me to give this to you." Ni Yang looked down and saw the basket was full of brown eggs. Each egg looked almost the same size. Piled together, they looked exceptionally pleasing. Because meat was expensive, eggs were considered quite valuable at this time, with each one costing 1 cent. And to have such a full basket of eggs, probably took a long time to accumulate. Ni Yang said, "I can't accept this, you should take it back." "No." Yang Guobao replied, "My mom and grandma said you had to accept these eggs today, otherwise they wouldn't let me go home." Ni Yang gave a gentle pat on Yang Guobao's head. "Guobao, be obedient, I appreciate the intention, but I really can't accept this, take it back. Anyway, I've already brought the eggs here. Sister, you have to take them." Having said that, Yang Guobao quickly ran away. Ni Tsuehua smiled and said, "Guobao's behavior has been improving a lot lately. Yang, since this is a sincere offering from Mei Feng and Aunt Wang, let's accept it. Didn't you bake some fruit and bread yesterday? When returning the basket later, bring some as a return gift." Ni Yang nodded. "All right, I'll go and empty the basket now." Ni Yang went inside, emptied the basket, lined it with a piece of paper, and placed in 4 pieces of bread, dried apples and bananas. Remembering that Aunt Wang had 2 grandsons and a granddaughter, Ni Yang added a good handful of candies and finally covered the basket with a piece of cloth with blue floral patterns. People were coming and going in the village. It wouldn't be good to not give anything if they encountered an acquaintance. But, if they gave something and there were many people, there might not be enough, which could offend someone, so just covering the stuff was the safest solution. Chapter 107 Termination of Engagement. When Ni Yang arrived at Aunt Wang's house, Yang Guobao was playing in the mud by the door with his cousins, Wang Yuanji and Wang Xiaoqin. Aunt Wang was chatting with Wang Meifeng at the entrance. Seeing Ni Yang coming, Wang Meifeng and Aunt Wang immediately greeted her with a smile. "Yang is here. Auntie Wang, I've come to return the basket." Aunt Wang smiled and said, "Just for returning a basket, you didn't have to bring it yourself." She then told Wang Meifeng, "Meifeng, quickly make some tea for Yang." Aunt Wang's family now treat Ni Yang as if she were an honored guest. Yang Guobao used to get sick several times a week before, but now, almost a month had gone by without incident. If he could keep up the medication for another month, Yang Guobao would be completely cured. All this was thanks to Anai Yang. Without her, Yang Guobao would not be the way he is now. Wang Meifeng had more than once expressed her gratitude for not giving in to pressure back then and not listening to the imperial doctor, Dr. Wang's words. If she had shown even a little hesitation then, she would have perfectly missed the chance of Yang Guobao's recovery. Luckily, Wang Meifeng turned and went inside to make tea for Anai Yang. Anai Yang smiled and said, Auntie Wang, you don't need to bother, I'm not thirsty, I just came to return the basket. It's okay if you're not thirsty, let's go inside and chat. Aunt Wang led Anai Yang into the house. Anai Yang couldn't refuse Aunt Wang's kindness and had no choice but to carry the basket and go with her into the house. Yang, sit, I'll get you something good. Aunt Wang pressed Anai Yang down into a chair and then went into the inner room. At this point, Wang Meifeng also finished brewing the tea. Yang, have some tea. Anai Yang stood up immediately and accepted the teacup with both hands. Thank you, Auntie Wang. Wang Meifeng giggled. Why are you being so formal? Sit down. After a while, Aunt Wang came out of the room with 3 honey tangerines and stuffed them into Anai Yang's hands. Yang, these are honey tangerines your uncle brought back from the city a few days ago. Try them and see if they're sweet. The season for honey tangerines was not yet here. Off-season fruits were particularly expensive. Anai Yang had asked specifically when she was buying fruits before, and even a small honey tangerine sold for 50 cents apiece. 3 honey tangerines can be traded for almost half a kilo of pork. If it was anyone else, Aunt Wang would not have been able to bring out 3 at once. After all, when her own grandchildren ate them, they divided them up one segment at a time. But this was Anai Yang. As long as Anai Yang liked it, Aunt Wang would not be stingy, not even for 10. Seeing Aunt Wang's hopeful look, Anai Yang peeled a tangerine and sampled a segment. It's very sweet. Thank you, Auntie. Hearing this, Aunt Wang broke into a happy smile. Stop being so formal with me. If you like them, I can get you more. Anai Yang immediately stopped Aunt Wang's hand. Auntie, no need to. I just wanted to try one. If you carry on like this, I won't dare to visit next time. Only then did Aunt Wang stop. After some casual chatting for a while, Anai Yang began to say goodbye. Aunt Wang and Wang Meifeng walked Anai Yang to the door. Anai Yang smiled and said, Auntie Wang, no need to see me out, you should go back inside. Sister Anai Yang, I'll walk you home. Yang Guobao hopped to Anai Yang's side. Sister Anai Yang, I'm your flower guardian. Anai Yang patted Yang Guobao's little head. Thank you then, little envoy Guobao. Yang Guobao bashfully ran ahead. Sister Anai Yang, I'll lead the way. Aunt Wang and Wang Meifeng didn't go back until Anai Yang and Yang Guobao disappeared in front of the bamboo forest. Just then, the excited voices of Wang Yuanji and Wang Xiaoqing could be heard from inside the house. Grandma, Auntie, are these the delicious treats that Sister Anai Yang just brought? The mother and daughter only found out when they went inside that the basket Anai Yang had just brought wasn't empty, it was filled to the brim with delicious treats. Seeing all the good food, the 2 children jumped for joy. Aunt Wang picked up a piece of dried fruit, curiously asking, What's this? Wang Meifeng shook her head. Wang Xiaoqing said, It's dried fruit, baked by Sister Anai Yang in the bread oven. Grandma, you have to taste it, it's really good. Wang Yuanji added, Yes, it's dried fruit. Aunt Wang asked out of curiosity, Yuanji Xiaoqing, how do you know this is dried fruit? Chapter 108 Termination of Engagement. Wang Yuanji said, Because we have eaten at Sister Anai Yang's house plenty of times. Last time, Sister Anai Yang even hosted a party for us. Anai Yang was not only beautiful but also friendly. After hosting the last party, she held several more at her home. As a result, all the children in the village loved her. Old Lady Wang tasted the dried fruit. They were crispy, and not only did they have the sweetness of fruit, but also the texture of a dessert. The taste was incredible. Old Lady Wang exclaimed, Yang is such a sensible little girl. Meifeng, after Guobao is fully recovered, you must bring your mother-in-law as well as Changjing to come and properly thank Yang. Compared to other girls Anai Yang's age who knew little about the world, like Wang Xiaohong who relied on her beauty to the point of arrogance, Anai Yang not only understood worldly wisdom and knew how to do business, but also had excellent medical skills. Most importantly, she didn't let it get to her head. She remained grounded, humble and polite, without any hint that she thought herself better than others. Wang Meifeng nodded, Mom, rest assured, one understand. Old Lady Wang smiled and said, As long as you understand, that's good. Anai family. Anai Tsuehua was busy in the kitchen slicing fish and stewing fish bone soup. She was efficient and quickly finished all her tasks. Afterwards, she moved a small stool next to Anai Yun's cradle. watching the child while reading. Tsuehua was a smart woman who had learned to read from phonetics. The feeling of being able to recognize words was something she had never experienced before. Yang, on the other hand, was watering the vegetables in the garden. 2 months had passed, and under Kuihua's diligent efforts, the once barren vegetable garden had turned lush green. It was now growing bok choy, long beans, loofah, soybeans, potatoes, cilantro, scallions, etc., and they were growing very well. The herbs and aloe vera Yang had brought back from the mountain had grown particularly well. Especially the aloe vera that had started to branch out. Those fat and large leaves made Yang want to chew on them right on the spot. After watering, Yang picked a handful of baby greens to feed the rabbits. Because these little rabbits were too mischievous, Tsuehua had built a fence to keep them contained, preventing them from running around and scattering droppings everywhere. Yang tossed the baby greens into the fence, and the little rabbits immediately started crunching on them. After finishing up at home, Yang took a bucket to the river to check the traps. As soon as she arrived at the river, she met a tall, slender figure with handsome features hidden in the light. Yang. Seeing who it was, Yang was momentarily stunned, then said, "Big brother Mo. Yang, you've come to check the traps again today?" Mo Chishan naturally took the bucket from Yang's hands, then continued, "It rained last night and the river has risen. It's not suitable for you to go down, let me do it." Yang turned to look at the river. Indeed, the river had significantly risen. At least 50 to 60 centimeters above where she normally placed her traps. As it was summer and Yang was a girl, getting her top wet would not only look improper but could also cause a stir in the village. It must be said that Mo Kishin's arrival was indeed very timely. And his considerations were very thoughtful. Yang looked up at Mo Chishan. "Then he'll have to trouble you, big brother Mo?" Mo Chishan smiled and said, "There is no trouble at all, helping others is a virtue." "Then be careful, big brother Mo." Yang shouted. Hearing her call him big brother Mo was sweeter to Mo Chishan than any honey. How could a little girl's words be so pleasant to hear? He was truly lucky to have met such a treasure of a girl. "Don't worry," Mo Chishan patted his chest, "your big brother Mo is a good swimmer." Having said that, Mo Chishan walked towards the river with the bucket. Because he had helped Yang retrieve her traps once before, Mo Chishan was able to find the exact location accurately today. Mo Chishan was tall and had long legs, so the water only reached a bit above his waist, but for Yang, it would probably reach her chest. Soon, Mo Chishan retrieved the traps and walked back with a bucket full of fish. Today's haul was pretty good. Not only were there crucian carp, but also 3 big grass carps. Chapter 109 Termination of Engagement. As Yang reached out for the bucket. "Thanks, brother Mo." No need for formalities. Mo Chishan didn't hand the bucket directly to Yang but said, "This bucket of fish is quite heavy, let me take it home for you." The fragmented remains of fish, along with shells and other things, weighed at least 15 to 20 kilograms. With him around, how could she, a young girl, be asked to do such heavy labor? Yang smiled and said, "No need, I can handle it." "It's all right." Mo Chishan stepped ahead, saying, "I consider it physical exercise." Mo Chishan, tall and striding, soon left Yang behind. Having no choice, Yang quickened her pace to catch up. As she walked with Mo Chishan, they chatted idly. "Brother Mo, is your injury healing?" She was most likely referring to the bite mark she had left on his collarbone last time. Mo Chishan's face inexplicably turned red. "It's fine now." "Have you been to the hospital?" Yang asked further. Mo Chishan replied, "Yes, I have. The doctor said it's nothing serious." Upon hearing this, Yang was relieved. "That's good." Yang initially thought Mo Chishan would accompany her all the way home. Unexpectedly, just before they turned the corner to her house, Mo Chishan stopped, placed the bucket on the ground and said, Yang, I want go inside. I'm heading off first." After all, during this time, social conduct between men and women was strictly monitored. He and Yang were not real cousins, and he did not want to cause unnecessary trouble for her. Now it was daytime, unlike during that past night. Yang was surprised at his sensitivity, smiling, "Wait for me here for a moment." Not only was Yang pretty, but her teeth were also especially white when she smiled. Like rows of neatly arranged tiny pearls, they were brilliant and eye-catching. Mo Chishan was mesmerized looking at her. In a short while Yang returned with a run. But this time, Yang held a bag made of oily paper. She stuffed the oily paper bag into Mo Chishan's hands. "This has some dried fruit that I made. You can try them, brother Mo." Last time it was bread, now it was dried fruit, Was this young girl subconsciously considering him as a servant to serve him snacks? Thank you. Mo Qishan continued, you should go home, Yang. You don't want anyone to see us and get the wrong idea. Yang nodded and turned towards her home. Mo Qishan also started walking toward the river, whistling along the way. Upon returning home, Yang began preparations for dinner. What to cook for tonight's meal? Yang pondered, chin in hand, and her eyes landed on the 2 cucumbers and a bunch of cilantro in her basket. Suddenly she had an idea. She could make cold skin noodles for dinner. Not wasting any time, Yang began kneading and washing the flour. Making cold skin noodles was neither too simple nor too complex. The main difficulty lay in washing the flour, where she had to wash a whole dough ball in water until it turned into a small ball of gluten. The washed dough water, after settling, could be used for steaming. Cold skin noodles originated from the northwest and were quite rare in Beijing at that time. Seeing Yang washing dough, Tsuehua curiously asked, Yang, what are you making? Yang explained, I'm washing dough to make cold skin noodles. Cold skin noodles? Tsuehua continued, can we eat them? Yes. Yang nodded. Tsuehua then asked, Yang, can one help with something? Yang replied, how about you slice the cucumbers and cut the cilantro and spring onions into segments, then crush some garlic. All right. Tsuehua straightaway started washing the vegetables efficiently. The mother-daughter duo cooperated superbly, and as soon as Yang finished washing the dough, Tsuehua had already chopped all the ingredients. So, Tsuehua started the fire under the stove, while Yang took her place by the pot to steam the noodles. Cold skin noodles were very filling and were great for the spleen and appetite when eaten in the summer, so Yang prepared a few extra plates for Granny Mo's breakfast the next day. Before long the cold skin noodles were ready. Yang sliced the cold skin noodles and put them in a large bowl, added spring onions, cilantro, minced garlic, cucumber strips, and finally poured sesame oil, vinegar, and chili on top. The enticing aroma wafted even before she started mixing everything. Worried that the cold skin noodles alone wouldn't fill their stomachs, Yang also boiled 6 tea eggs with the eggs Yang Guobao had brought. Except for the tea leaves, Yang mixed all the marinades herself. In no time, the delicious aroma filled the entire courtyard. Chapter 110 Termination of Engagement. After boiling the tea eggs, Yang halved them and arranged them on a porcelain white plate. They were garnished with a few slices of tomatoes, providing a pleasing feast for the eyes which was delightfully ceremonial. Additionally, Yang stir-fried 2 small dishes beneficial for beauty and nourishment. Tsuehua served all the dishes onto the table, waiting for Qingui to return and start the meal. The cold noodles were pleasant with a sour taste and a smooth texture. Their appealing flavor lingered in their mouths, leaving Qingui and Tsuehua full of praise. The 3 of them cleaned out all the dishes, leaving only 2 eggs behind. Seeing the popularity of her cold noodles, Yang had a new idea in mind. However, this idea could only be implemented after buying a shop. After finishing the meal, Yang went into the kitchen to make sour plum soup. As the weather was hot, this soup was extremely popular. It often sold out before the pickled vegetable noodles each morning, hence Yang decided to brew more sour plum soup to take along. She prepared 500 servings yesterday, so she planned to prepare 1,000 servings today. With a price of 1 cent per cup, 1,000 cups of sour plum soup would total 2 yuan. In this way she would be another step closer to her plan of buying a shop. With this in mind, Yang was filled with a renewed vigor. She reckoned she could endure being a bit tired, as good days are always made out of tough ones. The next day, Mo family's house. Because the Zhao family had promised to visit today, old lady Mo woke up early. However, instead of the Zhao family, she was first greeted by Li Gongqing. Li Gongqing had come to bring her breakfast. Old lady Mo eagerly opened the thermos, and sure enough, Yang's breakfast meal did not disappoint her. Sour and appetizing cold noodles. Rich and fragrant stir-fried shrimp with leeks. Cool and refreshing soup of loofah and lotus seeds. The food delighted old lady Mo's palate, but what she did not know was that all these dishes that Yang prepared were health-promoting. For instance, stir-fried shrimp with leeks helps to expel cold and is particularly good for the elderly, while a soup of loofah and lotus seeds has the effect of resisting osteoporosis. Are there any elderly people who do not have osteoporosis? While she was unaware of these health benefits, old lady Mo could clearly feel that ever since she started eating the meals prepared by Yang, her health improved day by day. It needs to be noted that she was in a condition where she would pant after taking 2 steps. There was no need to guess, this was definitely because the dishes by Boss Xiaoni tasted good. So, at present old lady Mo is completely satisfied with Boss Xiaoni. Shall we wait a moment? Old lady Mo called out to Li Gongqing, who was about to leave. Old lady, do you have any other instructions? Li Gongqing turned his head towards her. Old lady Mo then asked, Xiaoli, how old is Boss Xiaoni this year? Are they a boy or girl? Are they married? Boss Xiaoni saved her life once, so she wanted to prepare a gift to thank Boss Xiaoni. Li Gongqing replied, Boss Xiaoni is a 17-year-old girl and she's not married yet. 17 years old? Is she still a young girl? Old lady Mo was extremely astonished. It never occurred to her that such delicious food came from a 17-year-old girl. She originally thought that even if Boss Xiaoni was young, she must be at least in her 30s. This was truly unexpected. Xiaoli, you aren't playing tricks on me, are you? Li Gongqing laughed and said, Why would I trick you? Boss Xiaoni is indeed so young. Actually, my initial reaction was the same as yours. Who would believe that a 17-year-old girl could be so skilled in cooking unless they witnessed it themselves? Old lady Mo suppressed her amazement, nodded her head and made up her mind. Okay, I've got it. You may return to your work. All right, old lady. Li Gongqing bent his waist slightly and turned to leave. As old lady Mo was getting ready to eat, Mo Fuhai, dressed smartly, came down from upstairs. Old man, come here. Old lady Mo waved her hand at him. What's up? You seem secretive. Mo Fuhai walked over. Old lady Mo laughed. It's rare that you're up early. Come, let's have breakfast together. Xiaoli just brought it over, it's still warm. Although Mo Fuhai initially had little appetite, after seeing the appealing appearance of the food and its mouth-watering aroma, he quietly withdrew his impending refusal. He picked up his bowl and chopsticks and joined old lady Mo in a hearty meal. As expected, the taste didn't disappoint him. Chapter 111 Termination of Engagement. Even Mo Fuhai, who had tasted countless delicacies, was deeply impressed. It's delicious. Mo Fuhai wiped his mouth, looking at the empty thermos box, and said a little bit adoringly, This was made by Boss Xiaoni? Mrs. Mo nodded. Indeed, they say Boss Xiaoni is only a 17-year-old girl. It's incredible. Only 17 years old? Mo Fuhai exclaimed, That's truly impressive. It wasn't until 10 o'clock in the morning, nearly 11, that the Zhao family finally arrived late. Little Six, quickly make some tea for your uncle and aunt. Mo Fuhai hinted at Mo Qishan with his eyes. Mo Qishan nodded, Okay. Zhao Jingrong may have an engagement with Mo Qishan, but because one was studying abroad and the other was loafing around, the two hadn't seen each other for over a decade. She never expected that such a loser could turn out to be so good-looking. From every angle, there was not a single unfavorable feature on Mo Qishan's face. He was way more handsome than any pretty boy on TV. He's quite handsome indeed. But it's a pity. Physical appearance was the most useless thing in the world. If a woman was beautiful, she might have an opportunity to climb to higher social status. But as for men, being handsome only makes one a pretty boy. At this moment, Mo Qishan handed the steeped tea to Zhao Jingrong. Be careful, it's hot. Be careful, it's hot? Was Mo Qishan trying to please her? Well, she was beautiful and outstanding, it was impossible that any man wouldn't be charmed by her. You don't have to flatter me. Zhao Jingrong snorted coldly, because I'm here to dissolve the engagement. At her words, the lively living room immediately fell silent. Zhao Baoxing, who was at the top of the family hierarchy, chuckled nervously. Jingrong, what kind of joke are you making? Mo Fuhai and Mrs. Mo quickly tried to smooth things over. It's okay, young people like to joke. I'm not joking, Uncle Mo, Auntie Mo, you should be very clear about my conditions. Zhao Jingrong stood up directly from the sofa and pointed at Mo Qishan and asked, What makes you think that this man is worthy of me? Since she had decided to dissolve the engagement, Zhao Jingrong wasn't planning to maintain relations with the Mo family in the future. Since the truth was eventually going to be revealed, there was no sense in beating around the bush. Once she married Mr. Mog, all of Beijing would have to give her due respect. What did the Mo family count for? As soon as her words were spoken, the faces of Mo Fuhai and Mrs. Mo turned extremely awful. Even if Mo Qishan was not competent, he was still their precious son. How could they tolerate someone insulting him like this? Moreover, the person doing this was the girl they had always liked for their daughter-in-law. They had never dreamed that the smart and cute little girl from those days would become what she was today. Mo Qishan smiled and said, Miss Zhao is right. I am Mo Qishan, am idle and incompetent. I am indeed not worthy of the talented and beautiful Miss Zhao. Zhao Jingrong narrowed her eyes. What was up with this good-for-nothing Imo-chishin? How could he still manage to smile? Shouldn't he be sobbing and begging her not to break off the engagement at this moment? Was he too shocked? So, Imo-chishin continued, it's not that Miss Zhao wants to dissolve the engagement with me, but I want to dissolve the engagement with Miss Zhao. Breaking an engagement and having an engagement broken off were two completely different things. Just like calling off a wedding differs from being dumped. If it were spread around that she was dumped by a loser, she wouldn't be able to save face. Hearing his words, Zhao Jingrong exploded, you want to break off our engagement? On what grounds can you break off our engagement? What right did a loser have to speak to her like that? Imo-chishin gave a faint smile. Are you saying that, Miss Zhao, you don't want to dissolve the engagement? It's not too late for you to change your mind. At least this loser had some brains. Zhao Jingrong finally understood that this loser was trying to goad her, with the aim of preserving the engagement. She knew this loser wouldn't renounce the engagement easily. Of course not. Zhao Jingrong retorted. If that's the case, this is the dissolution agreement. Please keep it, Miss Zhao. Imo-chishin handed Zhao Jingrong an envelope. If I remember correctly, when our two families set this engagement, we also exchanged tokens? The thing from your house is in the envelope. Chapter 112 Termination of Engagement _6. A divorce letter. This good-for-nothing actually wrote a divorce letter. To Zhao Jingrong, this is an absolute humiliation. But on second thought, what if this is a strategy from the loser, feigning weakness to bait the enemy? I can't fall for his trick. Ending the engagement is the only way forward. With no other option, Zhao Jingrong had no choice but to accept the divorce letter and swallow this humiliation. Dad, give the jade pendant back to them. Let's go. Zhao Baoxing never expected things would turn out this way. This is far from how they imagined the divorce would turn out. They thought the Imo family would try to salvage the situation. However, not only did they not say a word of regret, but Imo-chishin also threw out the divorce letter. Just like the descendants of a military family showing their impressive integrity. Zhao Baoxing placed the jade pendant on the table. Facing his old friend of many years, he expressed his regret. I'm so sorry, Fu Hai. After all, when the Zhao family fell on hard times, the Imo family helped them. Their actions today were completely ungrateful. So, after thinking, Zhao Baoxing continued, Fu Hai, my old friend, one can't interfere with the children's matters. One hope you understand. Get out. Imo Fu Hai's face turned livid with rage. Just a while ago he was saying the Zhao family would never break their promise. But before he could turn around, reality has slapped him in the face. He had misread the Zhao family. Dad. Zhao Jingrong shouted, why are you wasting words with them? Let's go. Mrs. Zhao swiftly pulled Zhao Baoxing away. Watching the departing Zhao family, Imo-chishin shouted, may Miss Zhao find a suitable husband soon. Safe journeys. The two Zhao brothers turned around. Rest assured, our little sister will surely marry the best man this world has to offer. She will never stoop to someone like you. Imo-chishin was not angered, but instead replied with a faint smile, I'm looking forward to seeing it. After the Zhao family left, the Imo family matriarch came to Imo-chishin's side with a heartbroken expression. My dear sixth child, you've suffered today. One never thought the Zhao family could be so horrible. Imo-chishin laughed and said, Mom, I'm not upset. It's a good thing to see their true faces early. Oh, my dear sixth child, a man can easily find a good wife, don't be too upset. Imo Fu Hai came over and patted Imo-chishin on the shoulder. I'm not upset. Imo Fu Hai took several bank cards out of his pocket. Dear sixth, don't force yourself too much. If you want to cry, just cry. Even without a wife, you still have money. As long as you have money, what kind of woman cannot be found? Imo-chishin helplessly said, Mom and Dad, I'm really not upset and one don't want to cry. One also don't need these cards. I have money now, so you don't have to worry about me. He was really not upset and he truly had money. Why wouldn't his parents believe him? Just keep it. Imo Fu Hai patted Imo-chishin's shoulder. We are both men, I understand you. Imo-chishin thought to himself. No, you don't understand. Imo Fu Hai continued, you're always saying that you have money. If I may ask, where does your money come from? I earned it, Imo-chishin replied. Imo Fu Hai persisted, how did you earn it? Imo-chishin hesitated slightly, this is classified information. I can't tell you for now. Just know that your son is not lacking money now. Classified information? No lack of money? What big secret can a person who didn't even graduate from high school involve himself in? Looking at it this way, it seems this incident has really hit the kid hard and now he's talking nonsense. Thinking of this, Imo Fu Hai's eyes filled with worry again. Sixth, you can go wherever you want to go during this period. Don't worry, your mom and I won't push you nor blame you. But remember my words, never ever consider any drastic actions. Emo Chishan was almost amused by what Emo Fuhai said. Dad, where are your thoughts going? I truly am not the least bit heartbroken. Emo Fuhai thought to himself not to upset his son any further, so he nodded in agreement. All right. Won't believe you. You're not heartbroken or sad at all, but you have to accept this money. Otherwise I won't be at ease. Faced with no other choice, Emo Chishan could only nod in acceptance. Only then did Emo Fuhai breathe a sigh of relief. The next day, news of Emo Chishan's divorce with Zhao Jingrong spread across the entire upper-class society in Beijing. Zheng family. Upon hearing this news, Zheng Xianjing was so excited that she didn't know what to do. Excellent. Emo Chishan finally severed the marital tie with Zhao Jingrong. That Zhao Jingrong really knows nothing about gems. Now that Emo Chishan has just ended his engagement with Zhao Jingrong, perhaps he's heartbroken. If she goes to comfort him now, perhaps she could take advantage of his vulnerability. With that thought, Zheng Xianjing immediately put on some beautiful makeup, put on a nice dress and hurried towards the door. As soon as she ran into the living room, she bumped into Zheng Lingling, who was coming out of the kitchen. Zheng Lingling let out a scream. What's the rush? You spilt the chicken soup that I made for your grandma? Zheng Xianjing was startled. In her memory, Zheng Lingling had never lost her temper with her this much. Mom, what are you doing? You scared me. Isn't it just a bowl of chicken soup? If it's spilt, can't you just make another one? An unnatural look flashed across Zheng Lingling's eyes. Make another bowl? You make it sound so easy. Do you know how much effort it takes to cook a bowl of chicken soup? Zheng Xianjing dismissed it. It's just a bowl of chicken soup, how hard can it be? Besides, don't we have maids? Lingling looked at the soup and shattered pieces on the floor, her eyes full of heartache. Your grandma hasn't been feeling well lately. Do you know how much tonic I put in this chicken soup? And you just wasted it all. Zheng Xianjing dismissed it. Mom, when did you become so thrifty? It's just some tonic and a bowl of chicken soup. Is it really worth it? Zheng Lingling subtly changed the topic. Xianjing, where are you rushing off to? Zheng Xianjing remembered her mission, turning to run out of the door. Mom, I can't talk now, one have to go. At this moment, a maid came with a broom to clean up the chicken soup and broken pieces on the floor. Zheng Lingling said, Mrs. Wu, leave this to me, you go to your other tasks. Zheng Lingling always treated the maids kindly, so Mrs. Wu didn't think much of it and handed the broom to her. Once she turned around, Mrs. Wu began commending Zheng Lingling to the other maids. Though the madam isn't the madam's biological daughter, she is genuinely filial to her, not only personally making chicken soup for her, but also reprimanding the miss when she accidentally spilt the soup. Would she ever rebuke the miss under normal circumstances? Upon hearing this, the other maids all nodded in agreement. Zheng Lingling stood outside, listening, a venomous smile lurking at the corner of her mouth. The old hag. I'm so good to her, yet all she knows is to stare blankly at that photo all day. If that's the case, you can't blame me. Chapter 113 Thrash Scum, Eat Hot Pot. When Zheng Xianjing arrived at the Emo family's house, the elderly couple was sitting in the living room sighing and looking downcast. Grandpa Emo, Grandma Emo. Xianjing is here. Seeing Zheng Xianjing, Mrs. Emo managed to squeeze a faint smile from the corner of her mouth. Grandma Emo, this is the chicken soup my mother asked me to bring to you. Please drink it while it's hot. Zheng Xianjing handed the thermal box in her hands to Mrs. Emo, thinking it would be improper to visit the Emo family empty-handed. Zheng Xianjing had packed a portion from the shop. Mrs. Emo exclaimed in surprise. Chicken soup? Did your mom make it herself? Yes. Zheng Xianjing nodded, her face not turning red and her heart not skipping a beat. My mom knew that you and Grandpa Emo must be feeling down, so she sent me to check on you. Mrs. Emo patted Zheng Xianjing's hand gratefully, sighing. Your mom is really thoughtful. Zheng Xianjing lifted the lid of the thermal box and scooped out 2 bowls of chicken soup. Grandpa Emo, Grandma Emo, please try my mother's cooking. Good, good. Mr. Emo Fuhai and Mrs. Emo received the chicken soup, praising Zheng Xianjing for her filial piety. Then Zheng Xianjing comforted them. Grandpa Emo, Grandma Emo, don't feel sad or upset. Zhao Jingrong's calling off the marriage with Uncle Emo is her loss. I believe Uncle Emo will surely find a better girl, 1,000 even 1,000,000 times better than her. I believe one day, Zhao Jingrong will regret her actions from yesterday. Speaking these words, Zheng Xianjing's eyes filled with determination. It was obvious that Zhao Jingrong would regret her actions. However, there was no pill for regret in this world for her to take. Only Zheng Xianjing knew a secret that others didn't, so she was determined to hold on to Imo. The more Zhao Jingrong looked down on Imo, the more it highlighted her. Mrs. Imo looked at Zheng Xianjing in surprise. Xianjing, do you truly think so? She did not expect Zheng Xianjing, who was quite young, to be so sensible. While others looked down on Imo, Zheng Xianjing had such faith in him. Zheng Xianjing nodded, her eyes flickering upstairs, and answered solemnly, "Of course. Grandma Mo, some people have deep potential that just hasn't been tapped yet. One believe that Uncle Mo's future will definitely be limitless. Let Zhao Jingrong regret her decisions in the future." Mrs. Imo was so touched she was almost brought to tears. Mr. Imo Fuhai was also successfully comforted by Zheng Xianjing. As Zheng Xianjing held Mrs. Mo's hand, she cooed, "Grandma Mo, if that Zhao Jingrong regrets it and comes crying and begging to you, you and Grandpa Mo must not pay her any attention." Mrs. Imo was tickled by Zheng Xianjing and began laughing, her previous depressive mood instantly lifted. Good, well, ignore her. Well, make her regret it till the end of time." "Yes." Zheng Xianjing nodded. Just then there were footsteps on the spiral staircase. Zheng Xianjing looked up to see a tall figure descending from upstairs. Fine brows, slightly upturned phoenix eyes, high nose bridge, thin lips. Every feature was just the way Zheng Xianjing liked. Although the men of the Imo family were all handsome and had a pair of standard phoenix eyes, Imo was undoubtedly the most outstanding among them. He must have heard what she just said, hadn't he? Yes, he must have heard it. Perhaps Imo had started to see her in a new light. Zheng Xianjing suppressed the excitement in her heart, stood up politely and greeted, "Uncle Imo." Imo gave a light nod and casually put on his suit jacket. "Mom, Dad, I have a bit of an urgent matter to attend to and may not be able to come back home for a while." "Alt? Leaving again?" Mrs. Imo stood up reluctantly. Mr. Imo Fuhai also stood up immediately. Imo nodded. Mrs. Imo continued, "When will you be back this time?" Imo checked his watch. "I'm not sure about the exact time, but don't worry, he'll definitely be back before the end of the year." It was clear their son just had his marriage engagement broken, and now he was leaving again. Anyone could see what was happening, and the more Mrs. Imo thought about it, the more she felt sorry for him, tears trickling from her eyes. "Mom, why are you crying?" Imo comforted her by patting her back. "It's just a short trip for me, not that I'm not coming back." Mr. Imo Fuhai tightened his face. "All right, stop crying. It isn't a good look." Zheng Xianjing softly comforted, "Grandma Imo, Uncle Imo is going to do something important, you don't need to worry." Chapter 114 Bullying Trash Eating Hot Pot _2. Zheng Xianjing's words were clearly ingratiating. Imo glanced up at her. Catching Imo gaze, Zheng Xianjing immediately lowered her head shyly. He noticed her. Imo finally noticed her. Zheng Xianjing's heart pounded like it had been bumped by a little deer. Do something big? What big thing could Imo do? Although she knew her son couldn't do anything significant, old lady Imo felt somewhat comforted. Holding Imo hand, she said, "My sixth son, promise your mother not to do anything foolish. Be good, understand?" Imo nodded and wiped away his mother's tears. He smiled and said, "I know, Mom. Don't worry, one will definitely take good care of myself." For some reason, the more old lady Imo saw Imo smiling, the more her heart ached. This child was too pitiful. He was still smiling when things were so dire. "Go, don't worry about your mother, I will take care of the house." Imo Fuhai patted Imo shoulder. "Dad, 1 a.m. leaving then?" Imo leaned over to hug Imo Fuhai, then turned to leave. Being hugged by his son, Imo Fuhai chuckled and scolded, "This rascal." Zheng Xianjing, watching Imo retreating figure, shouted, "Safe travels, Uncle Imo." Imo retreating figure was all that responded to Zheng Xianjing's words. But Zheng Xianjing didn't mind. As long as Imo noticed her, everything else would come slowly. A calculating smile curled at the corners of Zheng Xianjing's mouth. Yen had been doing great business lately. Every day the noodles and sour plum soup she prepared sold out before 11 a.m. In just 1 week she had already cleared a profit of 1,900 yuan. When she looked at Sun Chuanxiang, not only did she make no profit, but she even lost the capital. Exactly because of Sun Chengxiang's example, many people who wanted to imitate Yen were hesitant to act. Although selling other stuff might not bring them as much business as Yen, at least they could make some profit, which was better than losing money. Sun Chuanxiang was worrying earnestly. She had originally thought she could easily find the pickled vegetables Yen used, but after combing through all the agricultural markets in Beijing, She couldn't find anything similar. This couldn't go on. His son was waiting for her to pay the school fees. Although Zhu Yonghong's incident had affected her son, the school had said that as long as she paid a penalty of 1,000 yuan and wrote a self-criticism letter, he could return to school. At a time like this, she mustn't hinder her son. The reason Nai Yen could make such delicious sour fish must be because she had some secret recipe. As long as she managed to get the secret recipe, she wouldn't have to worry about business. Thinking of this, Sun Chuanxiang formed a plan in her mind. That day, after Nai Yen sold all the noodles, she was preparing to pack up, but then saw Sun Chuanxiang walking over carrying a basket of apples. "Xiaoni, your business has been good these days, hasn't it?" "Yes, it has been good," Nai Yen looked up at her. "What do you need?" Treating every Tom, Dick, and Harry with a smile depends on who's standing in front of you. For someone like Sun Chuanxiang, Nai Yen couldn't even bother to deal with her, let alone smile. Little jerk. Feeling proud, right? Seeing the two large empty buckets, Sun Chuanxiang felt bitter in her heart. But remembering the purpose of her visit, she smiled and said, "Xiaoni, you know there was a misunderstanding between your nephew Hong Hong and you recently? So, one have come especially to apologize to you. One failed to teach my daughter well. One am sorry, Xiaoni. One hope you won't hold it against me. After all, we all do business on the same street. It isn't good if we clam up, is it?" Nai Yen kept silent and continued to pack up. Seeing her not responding, Sun Chuanxiang continued, "Xiaoni, you will laugh if I tell you this, but actually my family is really tough. After Hong Hong went inside jail, one have to take care of everything alone without any help. Now Hong Hong's brother is about to start school, and I can't even pull together the tuition." Halfway through her speech, Sun Chuanxiang started wiping her tears, looking pitiful. "If I weren't really desperate, I wouldn't follow you and learn to make pickled vegetable noodles. One really had no choice. Unfortunately, one am not skilled. The pickled vegetable noodles I make are not as tasty as yours." Chapter 115 Thrash Scum, Eat Hot Pot _3. Sun Chuanxiang helped Nai Yang to put the small stool on the table, and then said, "Xiaoni, now the only person who can help Auntie is you. Auntie knows that you have a kind heart, you wouldn't let her suffer, right?" Nai Yang smiled lightly, "I'm incapable of helping you out, please leave." "No, you can help me," Sun Chuanxiang said confidently. "You definitely can. What do you need help with?" Nai Yang raised an eyebrow. She was curious to see how shameless a person could be. Sun Chuanxiang continued, "Xiaoni, do you think you could lend Auntie 3,000 yuan? No matter how clever Nai Yang was, she was still just a teenage girl. After all, old foxes are always cunning. A basket of apples for 3,000 yuan? Not a bad deal. 3,000 yuan. Only Sun Chuanxiang could have the audacity to ask. Nai Yang replied indifferently, "I don't have money. You've got the wrong person." "No money?" Sun Chuanxiang got furious. "How could you possibly be broke? Nai Yang sells at least 700 noodles every day at 3 cents each, amounting to 210 yuan. Adding the profit from the sour plum soup, she makes over 300 yuan a day. 3,000 yuan, she could earn it back in less than 10 days. Yet now she claims to be without money. Does Nai Yang think she's a fool and easy to cheat?" Nai Yang chuckled. "To be honest, even if I did have the money, why would I lend it to you?" Sun Chuanxiang was taken aback and then said, "Xiaoni, please help Auntie out. We all fall on hard times, don't we? You have so much money, a small loan wouldn't affect you. Besides, you're a girl, you'll get married someday, what do you need all this money for? Besides, it's not like I won't pay you back. There's no need for you to be so stingy." In her past life, Nai Yang had met countless people, but never had she met someone as shameless as Sun Chuanxiang. Not only did she try to steal her business and frame her, she now shamelessly asks for a favor. How laughable. No wonder Zhu Yonghong could do such horrible things. The problem was with the parents. Nai Yang burst into laughter at Sun Chuanxiang. "True, I am indeed that stingy. What a sneaky little brat. She deserves to die." Sun Chuanxiang wished she could strangle Nai Yang right there and then. If it weren't for this sneaky brat, would their family have all these problems? Sun Chuanxiang suppressed her anger and continued, "Xiaoni, it's fine if you don't lend me 3,000 yuan, can you lend me 1,000 then? You know that Auntie can't make sour fish as well as you do or do as well in her business. We can barely make ends meet. Otherwise, Auntie wouldn't have to ask for a loan." In fact, Sun Chuanxiang didn't intend to ask Nai Yang for 3,000 yuan to begin with. 3,000 was merely a buffer, a starting point for negotiations. After all, 1,000 was 2/3 less than 3,000. There's no reason for Nai Yang to refuse to lend her it. Sun Chuanxiang was determined to get the 1,000 yuan today. And Yang had to lend her the money whether she wanted to or not. And Yang raised an eyebrow and asked with a smile, "Do you think you're more privileged than others?" Huh? Sun Chuanxiang was taken aback. "No. Then why should I lend you money?" She finished speaking and turned to leave. Sun Chuanxiang grabbed the corner of Yang's clothes, forcing herself to shed some tears and pleading pitifully, "Xiaoni, you can't just leave me to suffer. Take pity on Auntie, lend me some money, otherwise how can Auntie survive?" And Yang smiled slightly and looked down at Sun Chuanxiang. "Funny enough, I do like to watch others suffer." "Xiaoni," Sun Chuanxiang laughed dryly, "stop joking around, Auntie knows you're not that type of person. But I am that type of person." And Yang continued, "Also, my mother doesn't have a sister, so stop claiming family relationships here." Sun Chuanxiang was nearly choked with anger, unable to keep her smile. "Xiaoni, are you really going to fight with Auntie?" And Yang replied, "I already said my mother doesn't have a sister." Sun Chuanxiang dropped her pretense, revealing her true colors, and lowered her voice to say, "You're just a teenager. While I'm almost 50, I've lived long enough. If you really anger me, there's nothing I won't dare to do. You're an outsider in Beijing with no relatives around. If anything happens to you, there's no one to help you out. Is this a threat?" Chapter 116 Thrash Scum, Eat Hot Pot _4. "I sorry, but she really wasn't scared. And Yang wasn't one to be easily frightened." And Yang casually picked up a bench nearby, looking like she was ready for a fight. "Well, it's just too bad, I'm all alone in the world too. Worst comes to worst, we can risk our lives together." A seemingly nonchalant remark had scared Sun Chuanxiang quite a bit. And Yang was all alone, whereas she had a family to feed, including both sons and daughters. Originally, she just wanted to intimidate Yang, but surprisingly this little bitch wasn't persuaded by any means. Being so unafraid, nobody could even bully her a bit. Sun Chuanxiang was both furious and scared, frightened that Yang might actually resort to violence. After all, she was the one who came to pick a fight this time, so if Yang really fought back, she wouldn't be in the right ground. You're leaving me for dead, you'll regret this." Terrified, Sun Chuanxiang backed away several steps, trying to put on a brave front. "What goes around comes around. I will wait for the day when you kneel and beg for my mercy." After saying those words, she ran away in fear. "Wait!" And Yang called out to the retreating figure of Sun Chuanxiang. Sun Chuanxiang shuddered in fear, scared that the bench held by Yang would hit her forehead in the next second. She ran faster than a rabbit. How dared she stop for even a moment? Yang originally intended for Sun Chuanxiang to take away her basket of apples, but she didn't expect Sun Chuanxiang to be such a scaredy cat. So easily frightened. Yang picked up an apple and was about to throw it into the trash when she looked at the charming red apples. She suddenly retracted her hand. "This basket of apples must weigh at least 3 or 4 pounds. It's a waste to throw them away. The rotten one is Sun Chuanxiang, not the apples. Forget it. She'll take the apples then. She can use them to make dried apples and apple cider vinegar later." Not only did she teach Sun Chuanxiang a lesson today, but she also got a basket of apples for free. This was not a bad deal. And Yang was in a good mood and hummed a little tune along the way as she delivered the tables and chairs. "Ha!" A chuckle came from the quiet alley. A tall figure appeared with a black hat covering his features apart from his attractive jawline, a cigarette wedged between his fingers. The little girl has become more and more ruthless. And more impressive. She is like a raw gem, always bringing unexpected surprises. His little follower Wu Darning walked over, curious. "Brother Lu, have you taken a fancy to that little girl?" Don't get him wrong, that little girl not only has a fiery temper but also looks pretty good. There's probably no one as attractive as her in the whole of Beijing. Is the title little girl what you should call her? The man named Brother Lu looked down at Wu Darning. "Just wait, she will be your sister-in-law sooner or later." Sister-in-law? Wu Darning looked up at the man. "Brother Lu, are you joking?" Over the years, countless young girls had chased after Brother Lu, but he wouldn't even take a look at them. Is he now head over heels for someone? "While I'm not around, remember to have someone look after your future sister-in-law." After thinking for a moment, the man chuckled. "But then again, I don't think anyone can bully her." Wu Darning's mouth dropped open. It took him a while to react and he quickly set off to catch up with the man. After Sun Chuanxiang went back, the more she thought about it, the more aggrieved she felt. What? Why did she waste a basket of apples and still end up getting frustrated? No way. She had to get her revenge. She couldn't believe that she, a woman in her 50s, was inferior to a teenage girl. "Sister Chuanxiang." Just then, a familiar voice sounded in front of her stall. Sun Chuanxiang looked up and smiled. Xiaolu? The one who came was not someone else but Lu Wan. Lu Wan used to work with Sun Chuanxiang in the same workshop. Later, when the factory laid off workers, Sun Chuanxiang was already older and decided to retire early. Since then, she had been operating a small stall to make ends meet. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. Lu Wan and Sun Chuanxiang got along very well due to their similar characters. Sister Chuanxiang, how's business been these past few days? Don't even mention it, Sun Chuanxiang retorted unhappily. A little bitch came by recently and stole all of my business. Lu Wan's interest was piqued. She used to be envious when Sun Chuanxiang was making money by selling buns a few years ago. She even considered quitting her job in the factory to sell buns together. After hearing that someone stole Sun Chengxiang's business, how could Lu Wan not be excited? Chapter 117 Thrash Scum, Eat Hot Pot _5. What's going on? Tell me quickly. Lu Wan suppressed her excitement and sat down on a stool. Just a few months ago, a little temptress with the surname Ni moved to our street. Using her good looks to her advantage, she snatched a lot of my business away. Remember how Hong Hong got arrested recently? She's the one to blame. Sun Chuanxiang shifted all the blame onto Ni Yang. Lu Wan didn't care about who was right or wrong and echoed Sun Chengxiang's words. Such people truly have no shame. Sooner or later they'll meet their downfall. Don't worry, Sister Chuanxiang, once I'm free you'll go and confront that little fox. I want to see how she seduces men. Sun Chuanxiang was deeply moved by Lu Wan's words. Xiaolu, I really can't thank you enough. With Lu Wan's understanding and willingness to listen, Sun Chuanxiang poured out all her grievances. Upon learning that Sun Chuanxiang had been having a hard time recently, Lu Wan couldn't help but feel overjoyed. To prevent Sun Chuanxiang from asking her for a loan, Lu Wan preemptively said, Sister Chuanxiang, given our many years of friendship, I should step in and help you out during such a difficult time, but all my money has recently gone toward helping my little brother buy a house. With Lu Wan having taken such a stand, what else could Sun Chuanxiang say? After delivering the table and chairs to the shop, Ni Yang didn't head straight home. Instead, she made a trip to the agricultural bank, intending to deposit all the money she had earned recently. She now had around 10,000 yuan on her. Not only was it safer to keep the money in the bank, but she could also earn interest. Even though it was Saturday, the bank was not at all crowded. The first reason was that in this era, ordinary workers didn't earn much money and their wages could only cover daily expenses. The second reason was that the banking system of this era was still immature and found it hard to gain people's trust. Ni Yang ended up depositing 19,000 yuan, leaving just over 100 yuan for spending money. 19,000 yuan. Ni Yang looked at the balance in her savings book and calculated silently in her mind. She was now only 7,000 yuan short of buying her own shop. She was now making nearly 300 yuan per day, so in about another month or so, she would be able to buy and renovate her shop. This was great news. The day she would become a fully fledged individual shop owner was just around the corner. With such exciting news, it was undoubtedly a time to celebrate. Autumn had gradually set in. And in autumn, it was only natural to enjoy some warm food. Ni Yang turned her bicycle around and made a trip to the vegetable market, where she bought plenty of vegetables. She also purchased a charcoal hot pot stove. The stove had 2 layers, making it ideal for cooking in a double flavor pot. Hot pot originated from Sichuan and Chongqing, but at this time, not many people ate it. The first reason was that there were no ready-made hot pot mixes to buy. The essence of hot pot lay in the base ingredients, which the average person would struggle to cook well, especially in an era when people were focused on making money, who had the spare time for gourmet cooking. The second reason was that hot pot consumed too much oil. Most ordinary families couldn't even afford meat, let alone oil. After buying the pot, Ni Yang then headed over to a stall selling beef and mutton. Boss, how much is the beef? 5 yuan per pound. Ni Yang pointed at the mutton. And the mutton? The beef and mutton vendor was a middle-aged man with a chubby face. Seeing that Ni Yang was a young girl who looked like she couldn't afford to buy meat, he answered impatiently, Mutton is 5.5 yuan per pound. If you can't afford it, stand further away. Don't block my business. People of this era all pursued fatness. The fatness of being overweight. Due to poverty, they couldn't afford to eat meat, so people believed that those who were fat were wealthy and looked dignified when they went out like a leader. Only those who were wealthy could afford to eat meat, and only those who ate meat could become fat. That's why the rich and the minor leaders of this era all had beer bellies. To them, Ni Yang, who was so slender and tall, didn't look like a rich person. Undeterred by the middle-aged man's attitude, Yang moved on to the next stall, and cheerfully pointed to the beef and mutton. "Uncle, I would like a pound of each, please." The vendor at this stall was a friendly, Mediterranean-looking man. The Mediterranean uncle hadn't had any customers all afternoon, so he was surprised when he suddenly got a big order. He cheerfully replied, "Of course, young lady. Wait just a moment." Because beef and mutton were expensive, people who came to buy it usually only bought a few ounces at a time, who would buy a whole pound in one go. Chapter 118 Thrash Scum, Eat Hot Pot 6. Seeing Yang give the bald man 2 big Unity tickets, the middle-aged man instantly regretted so much that his intestines turned green. He slapped himself twice silently, "Blinded by your dog eyes. Blinded by your dog eyes." Yang took the change from the bald man, her eyes fell on the cow bones on the counter and asked, "Uncle, how much do you sell these cow bones for?" The bald man enthusiastically replied, "The cow bones cost 2 cents for a pound. If you want 111, give them to you for 1.5 cents a pound. Because the cow bones had no meat and people didn't know how to consume them, these bones basically went unsold. Who would have eaten their fill and bought a few bare bones home? But in Yang's eyes, these cow bones were all treasures. Although there was no meat on the cow bones, they were extremely nutritious. The soup made from them was both fragrant and rich, and they even contained bone marrow. They were perfect for making hot pot broth. "I want 10 pounds. Okay." The bald man quickly weighed the beef bones, a little over 11 pounds. "Let's call it 10 pounds. "Thank you, uncle." Yang handed the bald man a 1 and 5 yuan note, and reached out to take the beef bones. Passing by the toy shop, Yang purchased a rattle drum and a little rubber ducky for little Yun. Little Yun was now over 2 months old, and it was a very active time for her. When Yang arrived home, Tsuehua was sitting at the front door waiting for Yang while practicing her handwriting. After some practice, Qihua's handwriting had greatly improved on her initial attempts. She could now write many characters independently, without having to look at the textbook. "Mom, your handwriting is now really beautiful," Yang complimented sincerely. Tsuehua responded with a smile, "That's all thanks to my little teacher over here." Yang said, "It's more that you're smart. If you were a dunce, no matter how good one taught, you wouldn't learn. Students under a teacher could be good or bad." Tsuehua patted Yang's head, All you know is how to please your mother. Speaking of, food is in the pot. Yang, you should go eat." Yang nodded and asked, "Mom, where's my little sister?" "She's sleeping in the back room." "Oh." Funnily enough, just as Yang stepped into the room, little Yun woke up. Now she was gnawing on her white little feet. Seeing Yang come over, she started laughing happily. Yin. Yang went over to pick up little Yun. Even though little Yun couldn't talk yet, she would still gurgle in excitement when she saw her big sister. Yang handed little Yun the rattle drum and the rubber ducky. "Is Yun happy?" Little Yun didn't know how to play with the ducky, but she shook the rattle drum, making it create a ruckus. Tsuehua came in from outside worried, Yang, money is hard for you to earn, why are you spending it carelessly on toys for your sister again?" Yang replied with a smile, "Buying things for my sister doesn't count as wasting money." Tsuehua reached out to pick up little Yun. "He'll hold her, you go eat your meal quickly." Yang turned and headed to the kitchen to eat. In the afternoon, Yang went down to the river to retrieve the crayfish trap. The river bank was completely deserted, and not even a herdsboy could be seen. It was unknown why, but every time Yang arrived at the river bank, she would inexplicably think of Chishan. Was it because Chishan had helped her retrieve the crayfish trap for several days in a row? Not long ago, Yang had been able to see Chishan by the river every afternoon. Yet, starting from yesterday, he seemed to have evaporated from the face of the earth. In such times there were no mobile phones, let alone WeChat or QQ. Once someone lost contact with another, they might never see each other again. Thinking about this, Yang suddenly felt a sense of melancholy. But the very next second, Yang chuckled faintly. He was just a man, what was there to be heartbroken about? A man as ungrateful as a stray dog, good riddance if he left. After returning home, Yang prepared the fish she had gotten and started preparing dinner for the night. The first thing she did was to parboil the beef bones before scooping out the floating scum and starting over to make the soup. Add to it some green onions, ginger, garlic, star anise and cinnamon bark. After bringing it to a rolling boil, turn down the heat and let it simmer for a few minutes, gradually letting the fragrance spread. It somewhat resembled the flavor of the Lanzhou hand-pulled noodles from her past life. However, it was much more fragrant than that of the Lanzhou noodles. While the beef bone soup was simmering on the stove, Anai Yang started preparing the hot pot base. Anai Yang had worked in the catering industry in her previous life, so she knew how to make the sauce base more flavorful and which ingredients paired well with it. In no time the aroma filled the entire courtyard. The smell was mouth-watering. While Anai Yang was preparing the spices, Anai Tsuehua was washing vegetables on the side. Anai Yang bought a lot of vegetables. There was duck's blood, tripe, kelp, beef and lamb, bean sprouts, enoki mushrooms and so on. Of course, no hot pot would be complete without fish balls and shrimp paste. However, pre-made shrimp paste wasn't available at this time, so Anai Yang planned to make it herself and see if she could succeed. The fish and shrimp were just caught from the fish trap today, so there was no cost involved. Anai Qihua's knife skills were impressive. In no time she removed the bones from the shrimp and fish meat and minced them. That night, when Anai Qingui saw the hot and steamy copper pot on the table with a layer of red oil floating on the surface, she couldn't help exclaiming, "Yang Yang, are we having hot pot tonight?" Anai Yang came out from the back. "Yes, Auntie and I were having hot pot tonight." There was a hot pot restaurant in the city of Beijing. Anai Qingui had gone there once with her boss, but because of the high price she never went again. Although it had been a long time since, Anai Qingui would never forget that delicious, spicy and sour taste. She just didn't know if the hot pot Anai Yang made would be as delicious as the one she had last time. When Anai Qingui tasted the food from the hot pot, she was so excited she didn't know what to say. It was so delicious. 100 times better than the one she had in the restaurant before. The boiled beef dipped in the oil sauce prepared by Anai Yang tasted divine. A subtle spiciness and numbness danced on the tip of her tongue, stimulating the taste buds and leaving an unforgettable aftertaste. And with a glass of ice-cold plum juice, it was irresistibly delicious. Anai Qingui picked up a humble-looking meatball, originally thinking that it was just a regular meatball, only to be surprised by its firm texture. One bite and it was smooth and chewy, mouthful of meaty flavor, satisfying and fulfilling, making one wish to swallow even their tongue. Anai Qingui had never tasted such a meat bale before and curiously asked, "Yang Yang, what kind of meat bale is this?" Anai Yang explained with a smile, "This is called shrimp paste, it's made from shrimp meat and starch." Anai Qingui was surprised and asked, "You made this shrimp paste yourself?" Anai Yang nodded. Amazing. Anai Yang was truly amazing. If Anai Yang were to open a hot pot restaurant, the one in the city would have to close instantly. But Anai Qingui couldn't bother praising Anai Yang anymore, because the hot pot was so delicious that she just wanted to enjoy it fully. Anai Tsuehua picked up a piece of tripe and said, "Yang Yang, this tripe is a bit tough to chew. Did it get undercooked?" Anai Yang picked up a piece of raw tripe and while demonstrating how to cook it explained, "When eating tripe you have to swish it back and forth 7 up 8 down like this." Chapter 119A Slap in the Face. Turns out Anai Yen was not bragging. _1 7 up, 8 down? This so-called 7 up, 8 down, refers to rinsing a piece of tripe 7 times in the hot pot. The whole process takes about 15 seconds. Not only was Anai Tsuehua stunned by this, even Anai Qingui was taken aback. Because it was their first time learning that tripe could be eaten like this. Was it really cooked just by scalding it a few times? Tripe usually has a very strong smell. Anai Yang placed the scalded tripe on Anai Qihua's plate. "Mom, please have a taste." Anai Tsuehua stared at the tripe in the bowl, hesitated for 2 seconds, then picked it up and put it in her mouth, and began to chew. Her originally cold expression gradually turned into one of astonishment. The tripe not only lacked the expected strong smell, but was crisp and tender, dissolving beautifully in her mouth. It was numbingly spicy, and biting into it released the flavors of sesame and crushed peanuts, whetting her appetite and complementing her meal so well it brought tears to her eyes. Having tasted something so delicious, Anai Tsuehua felt that even if she was asked to ascend to heaven to be an immortal, she might not agree. Seeing Anai Qihua's reaction, Anai Qingui couldn't resist swallowing. "Yang Yang's mom, how does it taste?" "Delicious." Anai Tsuehua nodded her head in agreement. "Sister Qingui, you should try it too." Was it really that delicious? Initially resistant Anai Qingui, seeing Anai Qihua's reaction, immediately picked up a piece of tripe and 7 up, 8 down in the bubbling red oil pot. The flavor was surprisingly good. "Yang Yang, where did you learn this new way of eating? The taste is really good." Anai Qingui had not even heard of this 7 up, 8 down method before. Anai Yang smiled and said, "It was introduced in a gourmet cookbook." Anai Qingui nodded, "Oh." The boiling red oil in the pot filled the air with smoke, veiling the laughter of the 3 people. And Yang, who had not eaten spicy food for a long time, was eating duck's blood while gulping down sour plum soup. It was the first time Yang discovered that Cuihua and Qinggui could eat so much spicy food. They heartily enjoyed the hot pot meal. In the end, Qinggui took the initiative to clean up, while Cuihua went to feed and bathe the baby. Yang was in the kitchen preparing Mrs. Mo's meal. The kitchen lights were a bit dim. When Qinggui turned around, she saw Yang bent over focusing on her work. In the dim light, her features seemed extremely delicate, her eyes were clear and radiant like dazzling stars, and her skin was so tender it looked like it could be pinched out water. In terms of attractiveness, she could easily outclass even the most traditionally beautiful girls. Compared to Yang 2 months ago, the Yang now looked 10 times better. Moreover, it was not only Yang who had changed, Qinggui also noticed many changes in herself. The most noticeable changes were to her breasts, teeth, and hair. Her breasts had become much firmer, making her look better in clothes. Her teeth had become whiter. Even though she brushed twice a day, her teeth were never quite white, always giving off a slight yellow tint. But now, every day when she looked in the mirror, she could see her teeth shining. Also her hair, which used to be dry, brittle and yellowish, had now become black and shiny, so smooth that female colleagues around her were asking her what brand of shampoo she used. Qinggui felt that all these changes were because of the delicious food that Yang cooked. Thinking this in her heart, Qinggui asked out loud. Yang did not expect that Qinggui would be so observant to notice these details. Faced with Qinggui's curiosity, Yang smiled and nodded. Yes, Auntie it does have a lot to do with the food we eat every day. Qinggui was amazed and said, Yang, how did you manage to achieve this? I've been eating food all my life and I've never known that food can have a beautifying effect. Yang smiled and said, it mainly depends on eating the right things. Some beauty is inherent and some beauty depends on daily maintenance. Here, Yang pulled out the menu. For example, look at this sour and spicy tender ginger mixed with lettuce. Ginger is known for its rust-removing properties, and lettuce contains fluorine. The combination of these two can effectively whiten teeth. Qinggui was amazed by hearing this. No wonder my teeth have gotten so much whiter recently. It turns out to be the effect of ginger and lettuce. Yang, how did you know all this? Yang explained, because I am a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, I know a little about the efficacy of plants. Qinggui nodded, and for a moment she felt even more admiration for Yang. Chapter 128 Slap in the Face. Turns out Yen was not bragging. This little girl is really incredible. She's much more outstanding than someone who has lived for over 40 years. Cuihua is truly blessed to have such a wonderful daughter in this life. Qinggui then asked, Yang, what kind of benefits do the meals you prepare for the old lady have? As Yang was washing the vegetables, she replied, elderly people have a poor appetite, so I prepare some appetizing and easily digestible dishes. Occasionally, one also prepares some dishes that can prevent osteoporosis. The next morning, Yang got up at around 3 o'clock. When she arrived at the snack street as usual, there were already many people waiting in line for her. In order to eat the fragrant noodles earlier, everyone voluntarily helped Yang to set up the tables, chairs and stools. With everyone's help, all the preparations were done in less than 5 minutes. Yang expressed her gratitude with a smile. Someone joked, young boss, if you work faster and get the noodles ready sooner, that's the best way to thank us. That's right, young boss, hurry up, all of us are waiting to eat noodles. Yang didn't waste time and immediately started to prepare the noodles skillfully. Soon, slurping noises filled the air as everyone started to eat their noodles. Enjoying a bite of the sour and refreshing noodles, followed by a sip of sour plum soup, tasted incredibly good. A lot of people were marveling at how the noodles could be so delicious while they were eating. Li Gongqing came a bit late that morning, and it was almost his turn when the noodles were about to sell out. As per usual, Yang cooked 2 bowls of noodles for him. After finishing his meal, Li Gongqing walked over to Yang and handed her a beautifully wrapped box and a red envelope. Xiaoni, this is for you. Yang didn't reach out to take it and looked at him in surprise. Li Gongqing explained, this is from our old lady, she really enjoys the meals you prepare. Yang tactfully refused, you've already paid for the meals, I can't accept this. Even though Yang liked money, she was not greedy. It's okay. Li Gongqing said with a smile, the old lady really likes you and ever since she started eating your food, her health has significantly improved. This is what you deserve. When the old lady asked me to give you this, she repeatedly reminded me that you must accept it. Besides, the old lady always likes to give us tips, so just accept it without feeling any pressure. Everything Li Gongqing said was true, and since the old lady asked him to bring these things, she didn't plan to take them back. Moreover, these things mean nothing to the wealthy Mo family. After saying all that, Li Gongqing was left with no other arguments. And Yang had no choice but to accept it. Then please thank the old lady for me when you go back, Mr. Li. Scratching his head, Li Gongqing said with a smile, our old lady always says she should thank you. After all, Yang gave Mrs. Mo a healthier body. Money has a price, but health is priceless. Along with the sour plum soup, Yang earned over 310 yuan today. When she got home, Yang opened the gift box and red envelope for Mrs. Mo while eating. There were 18 unity notes in the red envelope, which amounted to 180 yuan. The gift in the box gave Yang quite a shock. Inside the red velvet box was a flat, patterned pure gold bracelet. It had a significant weight in her hand, at least 30 or 40 grams. At this time, gold was priced at 4.5 yuan per gram. At the current exchange rate of the RMB, this bracelet was worth more than 1,500 yuan. It must be said the old woman is extremely generous. Giving a gift worth more than 1,000 yuan without a second thought really showed the Mo family's substantial wealth. Just then Cuihua came out from her room. When she saw the gold bracelet in Yang's hand, she was startled. Yang, is this gold bracelet real or fake? At that time, a worker could only buy 1 gram of gold with a month's salary, so gold was a particularly precious commodity. Yang recounted the whole story to Cuihua. Cuihua sighed. She couldn't imagine how wealthy the Mo family must be to give away a gold bracelet so casually. Yang, since the old lady values you so much, you must be even more responsible in the future. Don't let down the old lady's trust and affection for you, Cuihua instructed. Yang nodded, yes mom, don't worry, I will. Chapter 077, A Slap in the Face. Turns out Yen was not bragging. This little girl is really incredible. She's much more outstanding than someone who has lived for over 40 years. Cuihua is truly blessed to have such a wonderful daughter in this life. Qinggui then asked, Yang, what kind of benefits do the meals you prepare for the old lady have? As Yang was washing the vegetables, she replied, elderly people have a poor appetite, so I prepare some appetizing and easily digestible dishes. Occasionally, one also prepares some dishes that can prevent osteoporosis. The next morning, Yang got up at around 3 o'clock. When she arrived at the snack street as usual, there were already many people waiting in line for her. In order to eat the fragrant noodles earlier, everyone voluntarily helped Yang to set up the tables, chairs and stools. With everyone's help, all the preparations were done in less than 5 minutes. Yang expressed her gratitude with a smile. Someone joked, young boss, if you work faster and get the noodles ready sooner, that's the best way to thank us. That's right, young boss, hurry up, all of us are waiting to eat noodles. Yang didn't waste time and immediately started to prepare the noodles skillfully. Soon, slurping noises filled the air as everyone started to eat their noodles. Enjoying a bite of the sour and refreshing noodles, followed by a sip of sour plum soup, tasted incredibly good. A lot of people were marveling at how the noodles could be so delicious while they were eating. Li Gongqing came a bit late that morning, and it was almost his turn when the noodles were about to sell out. As per usual, Yang cooked 2 bowls of noodles for him. After finishing his meal, Li Gongqing walked over to Yang and handed her a beautifully wrapped box and a red envelope. Xiaoni, this is for you. Yang didn't reach out to take it and looked at him in surprise. Li Gongqing explained, this is from our old lady, she really enjoys the meals you prepare. Yang tactfully refused, you've already paid for the meals, I can't accept this. Even though Yang liked money, she was not greedy. It's okay. Li Gongqing said with a smile, the old lady really likes you and ever since she started eating your food, her health has significantly improved. This is what you deserve. When the old lady asked me to give you this, she repeatedly reminded me that you must accept it. Besides, the old lady always likes to give us tips, so just accept it without feeling any pressure. Everything Li Gongqing said was true, and since the old lady asked him to bring these things, she didn't plan to take them back. Moreover, these things mean nothing to the wealthy Mo family. After saying all that, Li Gongqing was left with no other arguments. Yang had no choice but to accept it. Then please thank the old lady for me when you go back, Mr. Li. Scratching his head, Li Gongqing said with a smile, our old lady always says she should thank you. After all, Yang gave Mrs. Mo a healthier body. Money has a price, but health is priceless. Along with the sour plum soup, Yang earned over 310 yuan today. When she got home, and Yang opened the gift box and red envelope for Mrs. Mo while eating. There were 18 unity notes in the red envelope, which amounted to 180 yuan. The gift in the box gave Yang quite a shock. Inside the red velvet box was a flat, patterned pure gold bracelet. It had a significant weight in her hand, at least 30 or 40 grams. At this time gold was priced at 4.5 yuan per gram. At the current exchange rate of the RMB, this bracelet was worth more than 1,500 yuan. It must be said the old woman is extremely generous. Giving a gift worth more than 1,000 yuan without a second thought really showed the Mo family's substantial wealth. Just then Cuihua came out from her room. When she saw the gold bracelet in Yang's hand, she was startled. Yang, is this gold bracelet real or fake? At that time, a worker could only buy 1 gram of gold with a month's salary, so gold was a particularly precious commodity. Yang recounted the whole story to Cuihua. Cuihua sighed. She couldn't imagine how wealthy the Mo family must be to give away a gold bracelet so casually. Yang, since the old lady values you so much, you must be even more responsible in the future. Don't let down the old lady's trust and affection for you, Cuihua instructed. Yang nodded. Yes mom, don't worry, I will. You're tuning in to the Phantom Sword Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.